Today we're talking about Batman Begins on the heels of the 20th anniversary, guys.
Where are you?
Here. You can hear the bats, you can't see them, and then all of a sudden...
Christopher Nolan is also notorious for being a fan of the James Bond series. Mm-hmm. So he essentially makes Lucius Q.
Kevlar utility harness, gas-powered magnetic grapple gun, Nomex survival suit for advanced infantry.
Only to change into fucking Maggie Gyllenhaal hours later. I mean, what could have been? Like, what do you think would have happened if, like, the Waynes aren't murdered?
Probably grows up a spoiled trust fund baby, parties, womanizes, and drinks himself into an early grave.
It's kind of like Hunter Biden.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Cue music.
It's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me.
Bruce?
Welcome to Be Kind, Let's Rewind, the nostalgia podcast no one asked for, with your hosts, Chris, Leaf, and Shadwick.
Cowboys eating pudding. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Be Kind, Let's Rewind, the nostalgia podcast that no one asked for. Today, we're talking about Batman Begins on the heels of the 20th anniversary, guys. Guess what? We are getting old, and it sucks. As you can see,
do you guys believe that movie is 20 years old?
No. Like, freaking crazy, man.
It's just coming into nostalgia terms now.
Yeah, I know. That's what we put the 20-year mark on nostalgia. But want to say, what's up, Sean? Thanks for joining us. If you guys have seen us on the live rewind.
Boo!
Hey!
Boo!
Hey!
Boo, Wendy! Boo, Wendy Testaburger, boo!
But yeah, man, Sean, thanks for joining us. Sean,
thank you,
is going to be our horror movie expert and our comic book expert on Be Kind, Let's Rewind.
Horrors.
So he does like him, man. So
make sure you tune in for our Velocipasture episode.
Oh my God!
I've actually seen that, and it is terribly awesome.
That's pretty amazing, man. So before we get started, guys, be sure to like, subscribe, hit us with that thanks button, go buy some merch, all those wonderful, wonderful things. So, guys, where do you first remember seeing Batman Begins? And I actually did not see this in theaters. I did see The Dark Knight in theaters, and Dark Knight Rises. This one, I got to be honest, man. I think I was a little still tainted from the Joel Schumacher, and I was like, well, I'll catch it on DVD. And when I did, I was like, actually, I saw Dark Knight, then went back and watched this
the
one.
First one, yeah.
Yes. And so, but anyway, fucking night and day versus the Schumacher shit, man. So, Leaf,
the bat nipples.
Leaf, what about you?
Man, I watched this in theaters with my brother. Like, we actually really enjoyed watching, a lot of the superhero movies and stuff like that. Like, back in the day, I was never really a tremendously huge Batman fan. Even at this point, I was like, how many more times are we gonna have to watch Thomas and Martha die? Like, they just keep remaking this same film. I feel the same way about Spider-Man. So I also, like you, was not looking forward to this. But when my brother walked out of the theater, we were just like, holy shit. Like, that was
fucking good, dude.
Something special. Yeah.
Chadwick, what about you, man?
Oh, I was there opening night.
Day one-ish?
Yeah. So, leading up to this, I don't know if you guys, since you weren't too excited about it, no one even knew that there was a Batman movie being made.
Yeah,
Nolan has always been really secretive. Christopher Nolan, the director, I'm talking about.
Nolan.
Knowles.
So they actually did everything under the title The Intimidation Game.
Yeah, I've heard that. That's like,
and there was only one printed copy of the script. And he would take it to each individual perspective or whatever actor he wanted to try to pitch it to.
Dude, what about this? What about the people that were casting? Like, the casting directors didn't even know they were casting for fucking Batman. Like they didn't have.
How do you even do that?
How do you
They
do
had
that?
They had a fake title. He had something similar, like when he'd have them practice dialogue, like other not big actors, but like supporting actors and shit. He would have similar dialogue written, but not the real dialogue. Like this dude is, he's got some trust issues, and I respect it. Dude,
Yeah.
Sean, let's get Sean. Sean, where did you see this in theaters?
Yeah, I was living my best life as a general or an assistant manager at the Rave at the time.
Oh wow, it's a movie
when this
theater.
movie
Nice.
came out. So I was still, being awesome and getting
Getting
just getting laid.
$6.50 an hour. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I got to see the preview of it before it actually came out,
shit,
which was
that's
pretty
awesome.
sweet.
Nice.
But I remember it kind of came out of nowhere, like y'all said. Nobody really knew that it was coming out. I saw a trailer and I was like, "Holy shit, that looks awesome!"
Yeah.
And honestly, when I saw the first movie, I was blown away. I thought it was actually amazing.
Yeah, I think everyone was kind of the same as you as far as like the Joel Schumacher
the
movies
boost.
just fucking killed everybody.
Well, I
They
mean, the
did.
Joel Schumacher movies actually led us over to.
You fucking bum.
That's what we wanted to say to him. I mean, thanks for Lost Boys, I guess.
That's about it.
Anyway, I'm drinking Chattanooga's own today. Hutton and Smith Red Durst. Yeah.
Red, you're getting thirsty out here.
Yeah.
Fred Dursty.
It is a red IPA, and went there with my buddy Josh yesterday. Just dropped by, had a couple beers, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Didn't even know they had this. So Red Durst. I'm all about beer puns. Tasty beer. Go check out Hutton and Smith if you're in Chattanooga. Leaf, what do you got?
Dude, man, I'm drinking a little bit of Margaritaville tequila tonight, man.
Dude,
I'm
yes.
anticipating this episode be a little, little randy, so I'm excited for that, man. Like, let's see where we're going with this one tonight. So, yeah,
Chadwick,
cheers.
unlike Dogma, are you actually going to consume your alcohol tonight?
I'm going. He gonna do one.
Oh,
I'm going to have one coconut water.
so it's good for your skin. I've
Yeah,
heard.
it's good for your skin.
Yeah, Chadwick, a little background on that. One time he drank an entire bottle of that at a party at my house. That did not end up well for me cleaning up messes. Sean, bring us home, man. What do you got for booze of the
I'll
week?
put it all in the sink.
You
I
did-
got a Princess Mononoke.
Princess Mononoke.
Tequila.
Like our 4 anime fans are like, yes.
Yeah, that guy's awesome. I love that movie.
Yes, Queen, man.
I've seen it.
So before we get started, shout out again our Rewinder of the month, Nate the Great. Thank you again for all the support, my brother. So again, if you guys want to be a Rewinder of the month, hit us up in the comments, social media, our emails everywhere too. Trust me, we get a lot of spam in the place where you live. So guys, with that, let's head on over into our topic.
It's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me.
Batman Begins. Leaf, go ahead and kick us off with some delicious, boring-ass facts.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the uninitiated, Batman Begins is a 2005 superhero film directed by the one and only Christopher Nolan.
I don't think it's a superhero film.
The
Well,
nose.
I mean, I'm sorry. That's what Wikipedia says. Take it up with the nerds. Who co-wrote the film? Co-wrote the screenplay with David S. Goyer. It's based obviously on the DC Comics character Batman, starring, of course, Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne and Batman. They're the same person.
Say what?
Michael Caine, Liam Neeson, Katie Holmes, Gary Oldman,
Yes.
Cillian Murphy. Don't get it wrong. Tom Wilkinson, Rutger Hauer, and Ken Watanabe.
Well, dude, actually, like Michael Caine was a huge get, and to me, like the perfect Alfred, which kind of leads me over to shit stuck in my head this week.
Don't you remember the Crimbo Din Din we had with the grotty Scotch beans?
Oh, the one that was all 6s and 7s.
Yeah, she was a trouble and strife, but the Morris dancer lived up the apples and pears.
Yes, she was the barrister that became a bobby in a lorry, and again with a Gatling gun in the bottom of St. Regis tea kettle. Yes,
and then she
Shat on a turtle, and that's really all I wanted to get out of that. So thank you guys. Shit stuck
is
in
the
my
best
head this
role.
week. Shat on a turtle, Michael Caine. So like we kind of talked about earlier, I say it was a dead franchise. I mean, we did the numbers one time when we crunched what was the last one? Was it Batman Batman and Robin? Was that the last one?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
before this.
that's in '97.
Both of those last two Batmans made an assload of money. I mean, despite their critical. Yeah, I mean, they've made profit. So
funny story. When I told my wife, she's younger than I am, that we were doing Batman, she was like, "Which one?" And like she's like, with George Clooney, and I was just like, Chadwick is turning over in his grave right now.
Has she woken up yet?
But so I found out, I guess Nolan was a giant Richard Donner fan, which we've covered some of his movies on our show, and he was a big Superman fan. So I think this is probably, you guys are like kindred spirits, Chadwick, you and Mr. Christopher Nolan, with the Batman and Superman.
Hell, I've always said that.
But so he was just a big fan of how those movies looked, and he really wanted to bring this one back to more realistic, not so cartoony McDonald's, Burger King Batman. So
I mean, he did a good job. The budget on this film was $150 million, but it made a paltry sum of $373.7 million
That's awesome.
in the box office.
So it fucking slayed, man. So we talked off air a little bit. This one is, as if people don't know, a lot of these comic book movies are based on, well, comic books. So this one specifically wasn't this loosely based on Batman Year One? Is that right, Chadwick and Sean? Is that
Yeah.
Okay, so Sean, you actually read this comic, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So walk me through the premise of Batman Year One and the actual comic itself.
Going back to all the other Batman movies that we've been talking about, 89 through like Batman Forever, you see a little bit of his past, but you don't ever see him like training or like, becoming Batman, or the preemptive times between like when his parents were shot to him becoming Batman.
He never got
fingers,
He never got a Rocky montage of like
he did not
his training. Oh, I didn't know that.
So Year One, just the synopsis of it is like him becoming Batman, him training to be Batman, and then like him discovering what works and what doesn't work as Batman. So it's like he fails a lot in the comics.
Okay.
He gets shot by police accidentally. he falls off a building, and like the person who becomes Catwoman, Cillian Murphy, has to basically like bandage him up. She's not Catwoman yet.
Right.
And him meeting like Jim Gordon for the first time. So a lot of that comic is him like trying and failing to be Batman.
Okay.
And a lot of Batman Begins is very similar to that. You see a lot of him trying Batman, trying things out, failing a little bit, and then at the end of the movie you see what he becomes, like the actual Batman.
I kind of want to go over like how this movie came about. Like there were several other pitches and some stuff even in development before this movie came about. You had our buddy Joel Schumacher actually pitched a fifth Batman installment where
they're skating on ice.
Where he was, it was Batman on ice. No,
playing hockey.
No, they did that in Batman and Robin. If you don't remember,
They do, yeah, they did.
And
God damn it!
I think that was. I think it was right before he used his Batman Amex card to buy whatever, a hooker maybe.
A meal in McDonald's.
The hooker and I.
It's Batman and Robin Bork.
But there was also, but then there was a Darren Aronofsky version that got really close to being made. That was going to be rated R. It was going to be like really dark, and I think it just kind of got trapped in like development hell.
Yeah,
I think they were working on it for a couple years actually, and I would have been interested to see what he'd done because he went on to do Black Swan.
That's my wife's.
The Wrestler, right? Didn't he do The Wrestler?
Yeah,
I think you're right.
Black Swan is like great. I think I've watched about a minute and a half of that movie. Great half of film that I've seen.
You just watched the sex scene?
I watched 90 minutes of it, but it was the same minute and a half over and over again.
Right.
We just looped it.
Just talking about the Leslie
like
scene.
this is a great scene right here.
That's actually my wife's favorite movie. Like she's probably watched it 1,000 times. She even cosplayed it at Dragon Con. She loves Black Swan, man. Yeah. So I in turn have also watched it many more times than I would have wanted to.
Well, I mean, when we had Michael Uslan on, which I encourage you to go into our archives, watch our interview with executive producer of Batman, Michael Uslan, he really hit home, I mean, in his book and stuff too, that's like this was a process to even get the first one greenlit and to go, and so I can imagine after the last one was so, critically destroyed that it probably was rough again to get the franchise relit and gone again. So
Christopher Nolan contacted David Goyer, who had written, I know he had written Blade, and he was actually getting ready to direct Blade Trinity.
Okay.
With Ryan Reynolds. But then
great movie.
So he calls Goyer up and he's like, "Hey, I know you're a big comics guy. I'm a fan of Batman, but I was never really into it. So I could use some help with the story."
Mm-hmm.
So Goyer's like, "Look, I can't do it right now. I'm about to direct this movie.
I'm just buried in paperwork."
But they spent about an hour on the phone, and Goyer went over what his overall story would be, and Nolan loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Waited a couple of days, called him back, and he's like, "Look, there's just no way. You've got to help me write this." So he ended up going to Goyer's house, and they sat down and
a sleepover.
Dude,
yeah,
that's awesome.
They'd write a script, braid each other's hair, talk about boys.
Nice.
And their footy pajamas.
They're like, "Do you think Kevin likes me?
Christian Bale's so cute.
Let's get him in our movie.
We need to cast him over Cillian Murphy or however you say his name."
They had to have seen American Psycho, right? I think
that was the only fear, is they were afraid, because you can't have Bruce Wayne be fucking nuts like that, right? So they were kind of afraid that
he played such a good rich asshole, though.
Yeah, so maybe he would maybe that would bleed over is what they were afraid of, but it obviously didn't. They made the right call.
I think they kind of wanted that though.
Everything I read, that was one of the things that they were afraid about casting him, was you didn't want it to be too fucking crazy, when he's Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne.
Maybe you're both right. It was their fear, but also they wanted the essence of that
that
rich
edge.
dude.
Yeah. I mean, when Bruce was his real self, with Alfred or with Rachel, they would, he was more subdued. But when he was public Bruce Wayne, he was kind of that rich, cocky Patrick Bateman style.
Perfect face for it too. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. The first time I ever noticed him was in a movie, Reign of Fire. With
the dragon movie.
Yeah.
With Matthew McConaughey.
Right, yeah.
All right.
I remember seeing him then.
Gonna slay dragons.
And thinking, that dude would be a good Superman.
Dude, yeah, he's got the jawline, just that right amount of scruff.
But turns out
he's to
he's
piggyback
better.
off of Chadwick, there's a movie called The Machinist that Christian Bale filmed right before Batman. A lot of people haven't seen it. It's kind of like a dark kind of horror type of movie.
Yeah.
But Christian Bale was actually 100 pounds, around 100 pounds.
I saw that. And
he lost so much weight you could see his ribs, and he was skinnier than I am in real life.
Yeah, he's skinnier than fucking anybody.
Yeah, and then he bulked
disgusting.
up for this role. He bulked up completely for this role.
The costume people were worried when he came in because he had bulked up so much. They didn't realize it's a process, right? So every actor, I'm sure people have heard Hugh Jackman talk about it, or certain actors where they're like, "Hey, this is a shirtless scene is on June 21st, so 4 months out, their diet and bulk and cut is geared towards that day. I'm going to be dehydrated as fuck and look shredded." And so that's part of so when he got to set, he still was cutting. And so he didn't actually fit so well in the Batman suit. But then, of course, as he did, you're like, Jesus Christ.
Well, he had a conversation right after finishing filming The Machinist. Nolan's like, just try to get as big as you can, because he was so thin.
Yeah, dude.
So he took him at his word and just kept getting bigger and bigger. And when he showed up, some of the people that he'd worked with previously on a movie, some of the crew, they were there, and they're like, "Bloody hell, Chris, we're shooting Batman or Fat Man?"
Dude, he was so shredded.
And you can tell, and I think they were smart with this. I think they filmed the scenes where he was younger, the flashback scenes.
When he was still had some pudge.
Yeah, when he still had a little more baby face.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Where they kind of fucked up was, I'm pretty sure the last scene with Batman, with the train and everything, when he's talking with Gordon, I think they must have filmed that pretty early on too, because his face is like squeezed into that cowl.
I never noticed that.
Yeah, it's like fucking can of biscuits coming out.
Delicious. I'm always afraid of that pop noise.
All right, Leaf, are we gonna get started with this or not?
All right, man.
Leaf, where are you at, dude?
Shots on a turtle.
With everyone out of their system, the movie begins right off the bat. Y'all get it?
Dun.
We're hit with the ominous music, and on screen we see a bunch of bats flapping around in the sky.
Yeah.
Like it's there's really ominous music, and then there's like just bats like flapping around, screeching. So you see the logo.
So on the bat note, real quick, no pun intended. There's going to be so many of these, but on the bat, the actual bats, the flying bats. Christopher Nolan is so fucking big on practical effects. He was quote unquote driving people batty because he wanted real fucking bats, and they were finally like, dude, you can't. We're not going to be able to use real fucking bats
every time.
Throughout this fucking movie.
So what they ended up doing was getting real bats and filming them on a blue screen.
Yeah.
And just duplicating those digitally. So
which
which
is why they look so real. Like, because I tried to slow. When I read that, I was like, before. Actually, I didn't know what you just said, Shadwick. I was like, if these are fucking CGI bats, these are pretty goddamn good CGI bats.
Yeah, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think it ever showed the title to this movie until the very end. So usually you have some credits at the first, and you see your title. You just see like this group of bats fluttering, and they kind of make the bat symbol,
right?
And then it disappears just as fast.
So if you went to the wrong theater and you thought you were seeing Toy Story 3, you just sat through the whole fucking thing.
You never knew.
Waiting for
it was
Woody.
the same. Yeah, it was the same. So after the bats sort of come together and form the logo, the very next scene is Wayne Manor. You see two kids like playing together. Obviously, a young Bruce Wayne and his friend Rachel Dawes, just robbing Native American artifacts from the ground. They find
We've all been there.
They found an Indian arrowhead, as
Leaves
you know.
the theater and like tears like come down your face.
Leaf, do you judge the movies by how much they dig up from like your Native American heritage? Or are you just like, this is bullcrap?
Rich white people having the last laugh once again here, as young Bruce steals the arrowhead from his friend Rachel and is hiding. And I mean, he falls through the ground into this empty well. And
I think it was like a boarded up well, right? Like he was standing on top of it.
Yeah.
He hadn't realized it. I assume it was covered with moss. He didn't realize what it was, and he falls through the ground.
Goodbye.
Yeah, and when he obviously hits the ground, he's okay. I mean, I think he breaks his leg. You'll find out in a minute. But immediately he's attacked by the bats. They come running out, and it's that like I don't know if you guys are like, maybe you can reveal your phobias here. Like I don't really have any phobias of animals. But I gotta admit, bats like hitting me and scratching me.
Sure.
Like this movie was like kind of made me like, ugh. I don't.
We can all talk about our phobias, but I'd really prefer Shadow doesn't talk about any of his phobias.
But I will say the build up on that scene is actually pretty freaky and scary. It's almost like a horror element where he's like looking at the cave, and there's a build up of like tension where that you can hear the bats, you can't see them, and then all of a sudden.
I mean, when we were kids, we had bats in our neighborhood sometimes, like at night, and like we were very sternly warned every single bat has rabies, which I guess is not true. But when we were kids, we were told every bat has rabies. They're filthy, disgusting creatures. If they touch you, you will die of rabies or get, I think it was 20 shots in your stomach to be cured or something crazy.
At least.
We were shooed away from bats as kids.
Real quick personal story. When I was a little kid, a bat got into our house.
Oh, shit.
My dad killed it with a hatchet.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Your dad here's Johnny?
Chadwick's dad begins.
He threw it like Mel Gibson, the Patriot, and just nailed it to the wall. No, I don't know how he got it, but but he put it in like a Ziploc bag and let me take it to school the next day for show and tell.
You see, like
That
the
is the
longer
best.
the longer we do this podcast, the more that it starts to make sense why parents were like, maybe don't hang out with that Chadwick kid a little bit right now.
Yeah.
He carries a bat around in his backpack.
It's a
He's
dead
with a
bat.
hatchet.
He's in front of he's in front of like his bully's face, and he's like, "Where is she?" Like, hanging the bat in front of him.
I'm pretty sure like the teacher like called my parents, and I don't know this for sure, but I can just
Knowing your
imagine
dad.
my dad was just laughing his ass off
Dude,
about it.
knowing your dad, that was an
great.
awesome conversation.
Excellent work, Chadwick's dad. The actual American Psycho.
Yes.
Like, for real, dude. So immediately, like, we realized that this scene is happening in a dream because a grown Bruce Wayne awakens, obviously played by Christian Bale, as we mentioned, wakes up only to be stared down by a disheveled Asian man for some reason. Like, and I know in the theater, I was like, what the hell is going on? And this this sets the tone for this movie because the way that it's filmed and as the scenes go, it jumps around a lot.
Well,
Yeah,
like
it
a
does.
whole bunch, man. Like it's actually shocking doing the synopsis for the movie that I was just like, holy shit! Like this movie is all over the map a lot of times.
Well, when
So
you
we're-
said that about the synopsis, I realized then how desensitized I was because I've seen this so many times now.
Yes.
That like I didn't even really like. It's just normal now. You know.
Yeah.
It's
And
just the way it is.
you don't notice it when you're watching the movie. I never noticed it myself, like at all. It's only dissecting it because
Right.
it's done in such an amazing way that I realize like
We
we're
do
all
for
over
all of
the
our
place.
fans. You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah,
All
you're
6
very
of you.
But he's actually in a Chinese communist prison for some reason. You have no
We've all
idea
been
why.
there.
Grown Bruce Wayne. We have, yeah.
Dude, future Chris cut in. Wang, pay attention.
Wang! Pay attention.
All right, go ahead.
Shortly after this, while going out to chow, he's attacked by some of the prisoners and proceeds to beat the absolute brakes off of them until the guards break it up. And it's the first time we get to see like Bruce Wayne like fighting, and he just takes on like 5 dudes at one time, and it's awesome. And the best part about it is, in my opinion, because I love fight scenes, I break them all down, like having trained a lot in martial arts, and it's really, really realistic, more so than a lot of movies, because Bruce Wayne takes shots. Like,
Yeah,
he
dude,
gets
yeah.
hit, he gets hurt. Like, fighting that many people, he obviously overwhelms them, you know, which you could argue is not as realistic, but he still gets hit. And I
Yeah.
thought that was great. I was like, it was sloppy and
And
messy.
you get the sweet line too, like where he's pissed off because they're gonna put him in solitary. He's like, "Protect me from what?"
I don't need protection. Protection for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like,
But the point of that was showing like he's good, but he's not like as skilled as what Batman will be. Like he's,
Right.
he's
Yes.
at a higher level, but not there
You get
yet.
to see the build, and that's smart
Yes.
filmmaking.
Which is
and
cool.
you get to see some of the camera work on this fight scene too. It's all like close quarters. It's
Yeah.
like total chaos. It's putting you in the middle of the fight, really.
Bruce Wayne's immediately put in solitary confinement to protect the other prisoners he just basically beat to death. And a strange man emerges from the shadows, standing out because he's a white guy with a thick outer accent.
We've all been there too.
He just has a fucking bottle of Glenlivet in his back pocket at all times.
I know that that Goyer wrote the story, and then Nolan jumped in, and even Nolan's brother Jonah came in and helped like punch up the dialogue. I don't know who wrote Descartes' dialogue, but god damn, he's got some good lines.
Dude, the dialogue throughout this whole fucking movie.
The whole movie is
it
great
is.
with dialogue.
But yeah, you get like these just like epic lines from Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have a rough time picking our favorite quotes in this movie, or I will, because there's
Yeah.
just too many good ones. So out of the shadow emerges Descartes, played by Liam Neeson, and he tells Bruce Wayne he represents a man named Raza Ghul, and offers Wayne a membership in the shadowy organization called the League of Shadows, where he
Right.
can learn to enact true justice.
So, Sean,
upon
chime
his
in here.
enemies.
Raza Ghul, was that a character in the comics?
Yes.
And then
was it?
I know the Shadow. That was the League of Shadows. Was a whole series, wasn't it?
What was,
And was
Yeah,
it?
it was the League of Assassins, right? In the comics.
Yeah, it was elite.
Okay.
Yeah, there. I think there was actually both, but Ra's al Ghul was like a classic Batman villain. Like he's like he's an actual immortal person because there's this thing called the Lazarus Pit. Like, so like when Ra's al Ghul, if he gets injured or he's dying, they put him in this Lazarus Pit and it makes him, it heals him.
Which
and
I constantly.
But it always takes a toll on his mind. Like he's a little,
and
crazier
it makes you a
every
little
time.
bit crazier each time that you get into it. But it's a long running like Batman villain, Ra's al Ghul, and but he's also one of the people that trained Batman when he was younger. So it's like he's one of the deadliest people in the world, Ra's al Ghul,
and he always wanted Bruce to like be his partner. Like he wanted him to be his protege to like take over for him.
So again, they're pulling from several comic stories, right? Like this is not all, again, like we said, the Batman year one kind of pull a little bit from that. They're pulling some from other, like I think it's just a good. At least what were you saying about the Lazarus Pit?
I was just gonna say that, like, that anytime I see somebody really old, like that's ancient that never dies, I'm like, they gotta take a dip in the Lazarus Pit for like get them back to the Lazarus Pit for a minute so they can regenerate, dude. Because
It's like, all right, so I've done my community service as a nursing home. Can I go home now?
Like grandma, how'd you get that bruise on your arm? The wind.
Yeah.
Kind of what Chadwick was saying, like Ra's al Ghul wants Bruce basically originally to inherit the League of Assassins,
like
become the leader, and marry his daughter Talia al Ghul. That's kind of like where he wants, because he recognizes Bruce as being like just as skilled as he is,
right,
if not better, and that's why he wants Batman to take over.
Okay,
and I think I got to think they probably renamed this the League of Shadows so it wasn't like so on the nose.
Yeah, I agree.
Because the way they build Batman and Bruce's character in this, where he doesn't want to kill anyone.
Yes.
He would not have willingly joined the League of Assassins.
Right. That's true.
Just by the namesake,
yeah.
like you were saying, by the namesake Assassins, he's not going to join something that were, I guess in the movies at least.
Yeah.
But the Shadows, and that's what the buildup is when we get later into this. Like the buildup is he has to make a decision to kill somebody or not.
Right.
And that's a big determinant factor for Batman, is to kill or not.
Yep.
I got two questions for Sean. Is it Ra's al Ghul or is it Ra's al Ghul like in the cartoon? And like, why is cartoon Talia the hottest Talia of all time?
The cartoon Talia is the hottest of all time.
Look it up.
Yeah.
Look it up.
You're gonna get all the nerds started on how to pronounce like Raj. Like I say Ra's al Ghul, but like it's been pronounced in different ways.
Yeah, it's
and I'm
pronounced
sure
that
you're
way
gonna
in
get a
this.
lot of comments like that guy's an idiot. He doesn't know how to pronounce his name right.
In fairness, we were going to get that anyway when we brought you on the show.
Oh, okay, cool. Thanks, guys.
I feel like the cartoon version of Talia to me looks a lot like the chick that played Elektra in the Daredevil series.
Yeah.
Yes, dude.
Descard like offers him this membership to the League of Shadows, and tells him that he can offer him a path, because whatever it was that you were trying to do, you've gotten lost.
Yeah, no, you're right. Like, so he gives him a quest. He's like, "Listen, I'm basically arranging it so you get out of this Chinese prison. They're gonna let you go, and if you choose and you want to learn the truth path to enact justice on your enemies, pick a blue flower, a rare blue flower, bring it to the top of the mountain." And that'll be like your ticket.
I must have glossed over this, like the blue flower part completely in this movie. Like I remember, we'll get to the initiation part and all that when it's ground up and yada yada, not realize it's the same fucking flower. Like but that's a big plot point going forward for the way the movie ends.
It's one of the first. Yeah, it's one of the first foreshadowing moments.
Like, how the fuck am I? This movie's 2 hours and 20 minutes. How the fuck am I supposed to remember that? I've got some tweets to answer. I got to scroll through Facebook.
Comments to delete from
for Sean.
At that time, it's MySpace.
It was MySpace. It wasn't your space. It was MySpace.
So
My space on your face.
It was my face.
That was Talia al Ghul right there. I'm
Yeah.
gonna put my space on her face.
That's my side boob.
All right, go ahead, Leaf. Sorry.
So Bruce Wayne seeking to deciding that he does want to find the true path to enact justice on his enemies, picks a blue flower and makes his way up the mountain at great pain and exhaustion to a Tibetan-esque kind of monastery where he meets Ducard. Ducard's there, but also a bald-ass Asian man we can all assume is Raza al Ghul, played by Ken Watanabe, by the way. Academy Award winner, dude.
Yeah.
And he spoke complete gibberish.
Did he really?
Yeah, the foreign language that he's speaking is just
nice.
It's just sounds.
I respect it.
Why didn't he just use like...
So this monastery, so it is a set that they built, the outside of it at least, and they built it on the side of a glacier in Iceland.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
It looks otherworldly. And also I want to know, when Batman gets there and he knocks on the doors open by themselves.
Bruce goes in and he sees Ra's al Ghul there, and then all these guys with like kind of like ninja garb. They're all kind of like they're all like circling around him, and Ducard walks in and kind of waves them off, you know.
Yeah.
And he asks him why.
Vanish.
He's asking why he's there, and he's like, you know, I seek the means to fight injustice. And he shows him that he did, in fact, bring that flower to him. You know, Ducard takes it, shows it to Ra's, and then asks him if he's ready. And he's like, I can barely stand because, I mean,
Dude,
he's been fucking Lord of the Ring up this
Dude,
mountain.
he didn't have anything to eat. I think he killed a billy goat at one point in time. I saw it on Alone.
And ate it raw.
And he ate it.
Yeah. Asshole first, I think.
Yeah.
We all eat an asshole first.
But
but
it's like I can barely stand, and Ducard's like,
Death does not wait for you to be ready. Death does not consider it warfare.
Yeah.
Basically showing him like, yeah, you're skilled, but you're not shit.
Yeah, he's like Chun-Li from Street Fighter.
It's just literally what it is. Yeah. So in a lot of so shout out to Sean at this point in time, because you see that Bruce Wayne's actually learned some fighting styles. Obviously, hanging with Chinese people, you instantly learn kung fu.
Well, yeah.
So that's what's happened. He's learned
either that or you go to the Matrix. That's the two ways you learn kung fu.
It's implanted in your brain.
I know kung fu.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
So in a lot of kung fu style, like kung fu forms, there's generally like 5 animals that they sort of like a lot of times base, and they vary back and forth depending on what region in China.
I like doggy style.
Yeah, I know.
I think Beacon, let's rewind. We are black belts in drunken monkey style. So
no, not Leaf. Leaf goes for hamster style.
Except for I promised my father I'd never practice hamster style again.
I don't think I'm gonna do hamster style anymore.
That's nice.
Still smell that newspaper.
And so, so Bruce Wayne, he's proven that he knows some fighting styles. Like he's got some skill. Like and he's tried to master and train as much as he could for this moment. But like as Shavik mentioned earlier, he sort of kind of just lost his way in anger and vengeance, and you could tell it's like overcoming him. And Ra's al Ghul recognizes it immediately after he just beats the shit out of Bruce Wayne, and Bruce Wayne's losing consciousness. He's like, you're not scared of death. Like you're scared of something else, some other fear is consuming you. And we jump right back into like another flashback.
Right back into the well.
Yeah. Immediately he's back in the well, the continuation of the very first scene where he's down in the well, and you see as the bats are sort of like, dissipating, flying out of the well, his father's like rappelling and descending down to rescue him.
So I wonder, do you think like every time he goes to sleep, he dreams about like his parents, and that's why he's always like,
well, maybe. And I mean, but that's the difference between me and Bruce Wayne, because if my parents died and left me billions of dollars, I would have just developed a nasty coke habit.
And he had the money for it. It was all the factors were there.
You do coke for 2 weeks, you go to rehab. Then you do coke for 2 weeks, you go to rehab. It's a cycle, but it bloody works.
I wouldn't be dreaming of caves. I would be dreaming of Katie Holmes' ass in my face. Just that's what I would be doing. That's my Batman Begins.
Dude, he hasn't seen her since she was like 7. You fucking
he already
weirdo.
knew. He knew what was going to happen.
He knew. To Shabak's point, I think that's really, really important because as we find out here momentarily, we're about to get to the famous, obviously, the backstory scene. I don't think he has any, he dreams about what he fears about. That's what consumes him. His parents' death is, it envelops him in guilt and anger and rage.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not really scared of anything in that moment. He's fearful of bats, right? Because of that moment, for whatever it was, obviously, and psychologically, a lot of your fears are traumas from your early childhood. That was a traumatizing moment, and it's just something you never really get over.
Was this all on the same day too? Like he falls and then they go that night to? Is that correct?
Hey, I don't know because
I don't think so.
As his dad's carried him up to the house, he says something about I'll set the bone and
he broke his leg.
Okay,
and then I'll take him to the hospital later.
Yeah, okay.
But,
so there's the time jump there.
Got you, man. But what's the line? What's the line that his dad says though?
And why do we fall, Bruce? So we can learn to pick ourselves up.
I was in the theater. I was always like, "You bastard!"
Yeah, he still has that damn arrowhead in his pocket. That prick. I freaking hate that kid.
Yeah.
As you broke your bones.
As his dad is carrying him up the steps, he hands the arrowhead back to Rachel. After he had kind of been a fucking dick in the beginning. He stole it from her, and she's like, "Finders keepers," and I found it. And he goes "In my garden."
Yeah.
Fucking little spoiled kid or whatever.
One day I'll be hot. I'll be hot, Katie Holmes.
You're gonna regret it.
You're
Says every woman ever who's been rejected at a young age.
She's like, and just when you fall in love with me, I'm gonna morph into Maggie Gyllenhaal.
And everybody's gonna vomit.
But yeah, Leaf, I think you're right. It's not the same day. I think it's supposed to show you that he still has this fear of bats.
Okay, so that just stuck with him.
Yeah, so he's still he's in bed and he's having nightmares still, and his dad wakes him up, tells him to get ready. They're going to go see Deflator Mouse.
Right? AKA.
Yeah, so they get to the opera.
The Don Giovanni. The most
daring portrayal, dude.
The best rendition of Don Giovanni.
But hold on, because this is really, really important too. This is where we're introduced to Bruce Wayne, and as Shabak said, they wake Bruce up, who's again from another bat nightmare, and his father basically tells him, "Listen, all creatures feel fear. We're all scared, and
even the
sometimes
scary ones.
Yeah, sometimes that causes us to lash out, and that's just and so Bruce Wayne's father, Thomas Wayne's almost too good in this film for me. It gets embarrassing later on in a point in time, and I'm gonna make a comment way later on. But he's just the best, most altruistic, selfless human being on the planet, man.
And I really like this guy that played him too.
Yeah, I do too.
This is one of those too. This just goes to show you if you're somebody's father and you're too good and you set the bar too high, you just created a supervillain.
You did. You're done.
I will say this though, Leaf. It's coming from Bruce's memory, and I think a lot of us remember our parents being a lot better than they probably really are.
Good point. Actually, very, very good point. They take public transportation. They're so wealthy, but they still take the Wayne monorail.
They fucking Johnny Car out there, man.
They take the monorail, and on the way we learn more about Thomas Wayne's personality, about how he's nearly bankrupted his own company. He doesn't care anything about money. He's got suits. running the corporation. He's extremely wealthy, but all he cares about is like philanthropy. He's trying to like save, just one of the greatest guys, assumedly, so is his mother. She gets less speaking lines, and
he had built the monorail going through going through Chicago. I'm in Gotham.
Yeah,
right.
That's where it's shot.
But it's like cheap public transportation because like it was a depression basically. Like the whole city. Like he was just trying to help everybody
he's
out.
Trying to fucking do his part.
But he gives some foreshadowing here though. When he's describing it, he talks about how all the water lines and the monorail all go.
Oh shit! I didn't.
They run together. Yeah.
All go to Wayne Tower, which is the unofficial center of the city.
Obviously, a big plot point later on in the movie. I didn't realize that he foreshadowed that. Nice. Good
He
pickup.
did, and he says that. I mean, basically, the Waynes, the family, the Wayne Enterprises, basically saved Gotham.
Right.
Like it was going under. The Depression would have caused the city to just completely go under. And Wayne basically, Thomas Wayne and his fortune basically almost went bankrupt trying to save the entire city, and they succeeded to a degree. Now, obviously, there was still lots of crime and lots of work to be done, and I mean. That in and of itself is foreshadowing. Yeah, but I mean,
right? It's and you kind of learn about the corruption, from the ground floor all the way up in Mexico. Yeah. Gotham City. Shit.
You're blending things,
right? So we get to the opera, and Don Giovanni is playing. For some
This
reason,
is the most daring portrayal.
It's a daring portrayal, but it's a little too daring because young little Bruce Wayne starts to trip out a little bit because for some reason I don't know what opera this actually was, but some of the characters were just like bats.
Yeah.
Which of course we know he has yet to conquer his fear. Like he's still a kid, he's terrified, and he has to leave the theater early. His father being the greatest human being on the face of the planet.
They're like, we'll leave early. Ain't nothing wrong gonna happen here.
Ain't nothing bad gonna happen.
Let's take this back alley that's dark and very
full
has
of
no
trash.
lighting. Possibly hobos with guns.
Yeah, apparently everything outside of Wayne Tower in Gotham was just a total shithole.
Yeah, just a shithole, dude. So
it's like downtown Chattanooga.
But I do want to say, this is when you have the fucking the classic scene here where they're leaving, they get mugged by Joe Chill, who we learned all about from good old Michael Uslan. Because in later stories, the person that killed his, family is the Joker, and then when that started happening in movies, Michael was like, No, it was Joe Chill. That's what it is in the comic book. Like you guys are
supposed to be.
You guys are fucking this up.
And then he called Bob Kane.
Yeah, he
called and told him that, and Bob Kane's like, "Man, if I had thought of it, that's how I would have written it."
Yeah, no, and he's like, "No." He's like, "Wait a minute. God damn it, no."
Brother.
But yeah, so it's Joe Chill, not the Joker, at least in this Bat verse that this happens.
And this guy, he's just nervous. He's desperate. And and again, this guy, what's his name? Linus Roach that played Thomas Wayne. Again, he's great in this. He's like, okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
It gives him his wallet. And the guy's so nervous, he drops the wallet, and he's like, "It's fine."
Yeah,
he's
no quick movements.
Really calm. He's just trying to keep him calm. Mm-hmm. And then the guy's like,
I said you were.
Speaking of camera work in this movie, I think every shot is pretty much from the waist up, except for this one shot of Bruce with his parents slain in front of him.
Yeah,
and that's just to show him being alone.
Yeah,
It's just this one wide shot. He's like on his knees. Both his parents are laying there. That one shot sets itself apart from the whole rest of the movie because everything else is real emotional and up in your face.
Yeah.
You're really part of the conversation. But this one thing just makes it shows you how alone he feels,
and it gives you there's enough time that it fucking lets it sink in. They give you time to breathe on this.
It pans back slowly where you're just kind of like, damn.
And I mean, you just again like Leaf we talked about off air, where you're like, shit, another Batman movie. I'm tired of seeing the goddamn Waynes murdered.
Uncle Ben dies 1,000 times in theaters, dude. Stop making that movie.
He deserved it. He shouldn't have been there.
Well, I mean, you know, that's actually like going further into the movie. You know, young Bruce Wayne obviously blames himself for good reason from a child's perspective, right?
Yeah, dude. And Leaf, like, I mean, what could have been? Like, what do you think would have happened if like the Waynes aren't murdered?
Yeah,
you know, like how does Bruce grow up after that?
He probably grows up a spoiled trust fund baby, parties, womanizes, and drinks himself into an early grave, much like us.
Just like your rich friend Trey.
It's kind of like Hunter Biden.
Sean stole your punchline.
Sorry.
Somebody had to. Somebody had to.
We built up for that. But it's an emotional scene though, and it's impactful. And then the part where he's talking to Alfred and he says it was my fault, like that hits home really hard.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And I mean,
It's
you
real
see
sad.
where he's coming from on his development to Batman, because he's like he really does believe that if he wouldn't have been scared of those bats in the theater, they wouldn't have left. They wouldn't have died.
Yeah.
And it was his fault.
Not only that too, but like as we move forward, this is only the first stage, right, of his grief, right? So like this is it, like this is the guilt like section of where he starts to really like be like, this is all my fault. They would be still alive.
So the same night, like right after they're murdered, he's at the police station, and he meets Jim Gordon, played by Gary Oldman. Holy shit!
Yep.
Like. He is the absolute perfect casting for this.
Yeah, I agree.
And all the other movies just kind of discounted Jim Gordon. Like, I don't even know the actor's name that played him in like the Burton movies. Like he was in the Schumacher movies also, but he was just kind of like
he's just there,
a one or two line guy. Like he had no real purpose.
He's a crucial part to the Batman mythos, because they had to work together. Jim Gordon separates the police from arresting Batman and allows Batman to do his thing. Like that's that separation. That's a big part of that story.
He's like the last one that's not corrupt, though, right?
Yeah,
in the system, more or less.
That's huge.
Well, and so when Bruce is a little kid, he's sitting there in the precinct, and he's like seeing all these other people. Even the guy that's the commissioner, Loeb, I think was the
Commissioner Loeb played. I didn't write this down. Played by Colin McFarlane. Shout out, that guy does a great job of just being an absolute dick and in the way. He's really good.
So Gordon, like, he comes over and he wraps his. I guess it was supposed to be Thomas Wayne's coat. He wraps it around Bruce, and he's trying to console him, you know.
Right.
He's telling him it's okay, whatever. And then Commissioner Loeb comes in. He's like, you know, good news, we got him. Like, it fucking makes a difference to the little kid that just
parents are fucking dead. Yeah.
So at the funeral, you meet William Earl, who's I guess head of the board for Wayne Enterprises, played by Rutger Hauer, which was in Blade Runner, the original Blade Runner, which Nolan had everyone on the cast to watch before they started filming this movie.
Really?
And I'm not.
Why?
And I'm not. I really don't know. I never heard any explanation if that was like the tone he was going for. I know there was a little mixture of like kind of futuristic and kind of Art Deco pieces in this a little bit, but not too much. But I think Nolan just has a love for some of these like 80s actors, because you see that in The Dark Knight. He brings on Julia Roberts' brother.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Eric Roberts.
Yep. from Best of the Best.
Yes.
And then you see Matthew Modine is in The Dark Knight Rises. So, and
I mean,
and also fucking Russ. What's his name?
From
Anthony Michael Hall.
Yep.
He's in The Dark Knight.
He's in The Dark Knight too, which is crazy. I didn't know that. Like, he's got this bit part like in The Dark Knight. He's like isn't he like a reporter or So shout out Anthony Michael Hall, Smart Shop Podcast. But yeah, Lynn, let's move forward after the funeral, and he's got I guess they're going to take care of Wayne Enterprises. They've got a board and all that kind of stuff. So
William Earl.
So his financial future is set. So if this was Chris, fast forward to basically Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Okay.
But for 40 years. So I'd basically be Arthur, and Arthur, like...
Arthur, I'm afraid you have acute cirrhosis.
And you have a cute little butt.
This is also where Alfred sort of moves into the surrogate father figure, you know, which I don't know if Sean wants to like comment on that. I've always seen Alfred as like Bruce's father, right? Like his sort of like father that raises him. And this is where he moves in. This is the first time he's moved into that position that I've seen in a film where it was like really sad, man. Because like he's
was that in the comics at all? Did they ever hit on like him being like the father figure in the comics?
Yeah, he's always been his father figure, but he's balanced that butler / father figure. Like he's taking care of Bruce. He's never asked Bruce to call him like dad, but he took care. He's the only caretaker Bruce had after his parents died. So yeah, essentially that's his
and the only
father figure.
And there's different iterations of him too. Like some of them was like he was like a British soldier. So he he's the one that
M5 or M6, whatever that is, M16.
And like he's the one that teaches Bruce how to fight.
Okay,
but
as far as hands down, hands down for me, Michael Caine as Alfred. Fucking shut the door.
Favorite.
We're done. Like,
Agreed.
Sorry to all other people that try to play Alfred going forward. I'm sure you have good intentions. You're never going to touch this.
They all did a fine job, but this is he actually, to me, like Sean said in Shadowwick, melds the perfect balance of like butler and like surrogate father. And you see this in multiple scenes. He takes care of Bruce Wayne in this film multiple times. But he also offers him like sage-like advice and like
the whole
sort of
time
sets him on the right path the whole time. But it's not overbearing. You never really like. It just is flawless. Like Chris said, it's flawless, man. Like it's
Michael
such a
Caine,
good.
fucking hell yeah.
He tries not to act like his father, but he tries to be his father. If that makes sense.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Exactly, Mr. Wayne.
Exactly, Mr. Wayne.
That all ends right after this scene, and we go back to the monastery, and he's back with Ducard training in the ways of the ninja. He's learning fighting styles. Or more fighting styles, I should say, because he's already a good fighter. He's learning stealth. He's learning we get a little bit of a hint of the League of Shadows philosophy here. And he's kind of like spouting their propaganda as he's training.
He learns that theatricality and deception are powerful agents.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's right. And of course, to mind his own surroundings.
Yeah. So this is where they're fighting on the lake, right?
On the ice.
So,
which was a real frozen lake.
It was a real frozen
which is
lake.
crazy.
And I don't know this for sure, but I think all the popping and cracking that you hear on screen was real.
I'm sure
that's
because they had a very short time frame to film that. They practiced for a week. Mm-hmm. They shot it in a day. The next day, the lake had melted so much that they couldn't film anymore.
So they had 1 week. Everything else was filmed in Europe for apparently tax break reasons. Like it's way cheaper to film in Europe apparently. But this one I can't remember. Maybe it was Iceland or somewhere. I don't remember where the fuck this was. But this was outside. I guess this was outside of Europe. And they showed, if you guys have ever seen, it's called Icons Unearthed Batman. Mm-hmm. It's on Vice, probably on YouTube and shit. They have a good like 5-parter series on Batman. Our boy Uslin's on it. But they had to build, because you can't just have somebody fall through the fucking ice, right? Like, you know, like not safe. They actually had a cage they put underneath the ice to catch him. So he really, like the stuntman, really fell through the ice and then got caught in this cage, and then you pull him up.
You haven't beaten me. You've sacrificed sure footing for a killing stroke.
Nevertheless, even though there was a cage underneath, this man still fell into frozen.
Dude, I know. That's what I mean. Like,
water.
no love. We're going to have a fucking, every year on the, I'm going to forget this, but on the Rewindies this year, we're going to have a fucking stuntman appreciation every fucking year. Yeah. So these dudes need to get their fucking flowers.
Yeah, they absolutely do. No one's going to do it but us because we're the best. So, agreed. Yeah. He's training with Ducard. Bruce Wayne's learning all of their techniques, their strategies, but he's also getting like philosophical propaganda. Mm-hmm. But he's learning, and it's strangely Bruce Wayne is sort of immune to this like indoctrination. Like he's taking the bits and pieces he likes.
Yeah, it's kind of right, which is very rare in usually these situations because it's usually like that person is just fucking enamored and sucked into the culture and whatever. You
Right.
can tell that, like you
Right.
said, he's just picking bits and pieces
He's
off that he
picking bits and
wants.
pieces.
When he
Ed.
so yeah, Ducard, while they're actually fighting with swords out on the ice, and it was Christian Bale, Liam Neeson. They would only allow 6 people on the lake at a time because it was
so
that
dangerous.
close. So then it shows them like he's trying to dry out. They're out, still in the snowy banks or whatever. They've got a fire going, and he's like rubbing his arms. And this was a complete bullshit line that
I love it,
that Nolan threw in there. He's like, rub your chest, your arms will take care of themselves.
Yeah.
And Nolan kind of laughs. He's like, I can just imagine a bunch of Boy Scouts out there freezing to death because they watched this movie. He's like, I've never been camping. I don't know.
You're like, wait, Nolan, you're saying you can imagine a bunch of Boy Scouts freezing to death in the wilderness? What the fuck's wrong with you?
That's right, Canteen Boy. Why don't you rub my chest hair?
Like you said, he and I are a lot alike. But then this is I don't know if it's the delivery or just the intent of this line, but I actually wrote it down where Ducard is talking about vengeance.
Like you, I was forced to learn there are those without decency who must be fought without hesitation, without pity.
That
good.
line
It's a
is
great line.
so good.
Yeah.
It's an insanely good line, and again, we start to see Bruce Wayne, and he is in the sort of like the next stage of his grief about losing his parents. He no longer, because Ducard asks him, he's just like, do you feel guilty about your parents' death? And Bruce Wayne's like, I'm basically past the point of guilt. All I have now is like anger, and rage.
Yeah, my anger outweighs my guilt.
Which sends us back into another flashback. So there
you get
we
another
are.
flashback to adult Katie Holmes.
Yeah. Adult Katie Holmes before.
adult Rachel Dawes.
Before her face melts in the sequel.
Oh God! It's so Bruce, a young college age Bruce Wayne. He's older now, but he's still the younger version.
A little fatter face, as Shadow pointed out earlier.
A little bit.
Yeah, and they always do that, like hair down in the face thing.
Yeah, it's like
younger.
the comb over.
The Jim Halpert.
Yeah, he's a little angsty teenage years maybe left in him, and he's fresh from Princeton University, but he's returned back to Gotham because the murderer of his parents, Joe Chill, is getting a parole hearing to be potentially released, and of course he needs to be there for that because this is the man that murdered his parents. He wants to look him in his eye, and you're not really sure at first. He has an interaction with Alfred, who's getting his room ready, and basically Alfred kind of scolds him. He's just like, dude, you're too angry, you have too much rage built up in your heart. What you need to remember is you're a Wayne, and that doesn't really mean anything to Bruce at this point in time. He doesn't really care. In fact, he's kind of so angry and angsty. He says, if I had my way, I would tear this mansion down brick by brick.
Right.
Yeah, and that kind of pisses off Alfred a little bit.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is housed so many generations of Waynes, and to y'all's point from earlier about him being like a father figure, Wayne says, "Why do you give a damn, Alfred? It's not your family." He's like, "I give a damn, sir, because a great man once put me in charge of the thing that was most important to him."
Yeah, that's
yes.
Yeah, and you're that fucking hits the heartstrings. So
that line's also foreshadowing to the end of the movie, by the way.
It does.
The very last, one of the very last lines that he says to Katie Holmes.
Yeah.
You know what? That just goes to also show Alfred's mentorship in that line, because that really pissed me off hearing that. And Alfred didn't clap back angrily, dude, you did. Oh, after all he's done for you, after all he's been there, you don't even consider Alfred part of your family. I'm sorry, he's just. Dude,
rich bitch.
He is, dude. But that's
go back to your fraternity and coke parties.
Summer house.
That's dick.
Yeah, your lacrosse and your sexual allegations.
Yeah.
That just goes to show where Bruce Wayne is in his mentality, right?
He's just consumed by this fucking revenge play, and so
oh shit! I just realized Superman and Batman both went to Princeton because. Dean Cain, that played Superman,
went
to Princeton, played football there. I think he was.
Do you know both their moms are named Martha?
Oh my god! I was wondering when somebody was gonna make that joke.
Dean Cain actually still holds the record for interceptions for Princeton.
At 1.
And the most chicks laid by Dean Cain. He holds that record too.
Also, yeah, he does hold the records for most chicks nailed by Dean Cain.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, including what was Gabrielle Reese?
Oh wow, Gabrielle Reese.
Yeah,
dude. So let's get to the trial. You find out like Rachel is a public defender, right? Is that
works with the DA's office?
She works with the DA. She's a filthy, disgusting lawyer, and
basically, Joe Chill spent some time in prison with Carmine Falcone, and they're wanting to build a case against Falcone.
Right.
He's a big like mob boss, basically.
So Joe Chill is actually going to get pardoned, right? Like
he's going to get paroled early. If he testifies
against him. So they actually pan. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Bruce Wayne is on his phone and he's googling a guy named Jack Ruby on his phone. I don't know what that was about, but
Jack Ruby's sister. So so the whole time, like as the scene is building up, like we find out Bruce Wayne has a gun. Mm-hmm. And his motives become apparent. He's going to murder Joe Chill and get the vengeance he so desperately desires to hopefully quell the rage and the anger like in his heart and take it and finally avenge his parents once and for all.
They give Joe Chill a chance to talk. He's talking about how he was desperate, but he regrets what he did or whatever. And Judge Faden says, I gather there's a member of the Wayne family here. Do they wish to speak? And Bruce stands up and just walks out.
Right.
So he goes outside of the courtroom.
Because he's got that Jack Ruby playbook. He fucking knows where you stand.
Yeah, he's got that little snub nose 38 or whatever.
Uh-huh.
As we all do.
Up in his
jacket.
Up in his jacket sleeve, just ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Chill comes out, surrounded by media.
So Joe Chill is unfortunately summarily murdered by a gangster paid assassin from Carmine.
So he can't fucking, which is crazy. I mean, because like look at this happening now. Like fucking witnesses in a major trial coming up dead. Thank God that doesn't happen anymore.
Ain't nothing bad gonna happen in the Diddy trial.
Did it?
You heard it here first.
Allegedly. That's ignorant.
So he's been robbed of vengeance. Like that was his chance to do something with his anger. Now Bruce Wayne doesn't even have that. And he gets basically it's not even his girlfriend. Rachel decides she's going to take him. They have this long conversation about justice, and she has a big self-righteous conversation.
He's telling her the justice system is broken, basically. Yeah. And they go to this undercity, basically. I guess Gotham has gotten somewhat better, but there's still these really seedy parts.
Yeah.
Kind of underground Chattanooga.
No. If you've ever been to Las Vegas, it's the part between where the minor league ballpark is and where the strip is. I forget, it was Fremont Street.
Yeah.
In Fremont Street. I walked it one time.
I was sorry, remember when you jogged it? Or
I had a cop quote unquote tell me. I said, "Yeah, man. So it's down there. That's where Fremont Street is." And she's like, "Yeah." And she goes, "Wait, are you walking that?" And I said, "Yeah." And she goes, "Good luck." I was like,
if a cop's telling you that, shit's going down.
I remember you eventually sprinting the last section of that.
Yeah.
If I don't remember.
Chris is like, what a nice police officer.
Yeah, dude. I was like, well, I got there. If they had robbed me, they would have got fucking $20 and my fucking middle class ass.
$20 and 2 pints of blood.
Yeah.
And a condom for your monster dong, dude.
I dropped my monster condom that I use for my Magnum dong.
And a little bottle of spermicidal lube.
His monster dong. Why are you carrying around the double XLs, Chris?
Dude. So I could be Aquaman on my hand.
Like, this isn't for
you mind if I
chicks
use
here.
your Magnum?
Yeah, sure.
Hello, ladies.
She lectured the shit out of him, and then he fucking chose.
Yeah.
He had a gun, and he was planning on killing him, and then she slaps the shit out of him.
And then what hurts even more than that is she says, "Your father will be ashamed of you."
Yeah. She stings him as hard as she possibly
For some
can.
reason, that's the only way he can come anymore.
Yeah.
So she's and he's saying like maybe he should be thanking Falcone for killing him, and she's like, if you want to thank him, we all know where he is, and she's like, she's parked him right outside of this club where Falcone frequents or whatever. So he gets out, and I guess he considers what she said, and he's thinking of another flashback. He's thinking about the gun going off and killing his parents. He's looking at the gun in his hand, and he just throws it into the harbor.
And thank God we got Sean here, because I got to ask Sean, dude. Do you remember, or what did the comic book say about Batman not killing? Can you because I remember the old school Batman, where you just throw people off of buildings and shit and murder the fuck out of them. Do you remember, or was it so far back, or does it ever reference it in the newer comic books about Batman's creed not to kill anybody?
It kind of changed around the Golden Age, around the mid 60s.
Okay.
Batman
with the comic book code.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
But Batman wanted to be basically anti what the criminal was. He wanted to show them basically show that there's a different way to do things.
Right.
And that's kind of his code. If they killed my parents, I'm not going to kill them. I'm going to bring them to justice.
I'm better. And dude, that is
one up.
That is perfectly echoed in his attitude. So he throws the gun away, but he's still trying to show that he's not a coward.
Yeah.
Right. So defiantly, he goes into the bar where the notorious gangster Carmine Falcone is, and confronts him.
You're taller than you look in the tabloids, Mr. Wayne. No gun. I'm insulted.
Carmine's like, you think just because your mommy and daddy got shot,
right,
that you understand my world, where a lot of us
He's
poor
like, you
people
come
came
down
from.
here and interrupt me eating my gabagool for this?
My gabagool.
But
he does.
But he lays out how far the corruption goes, right there.
Yes.
He's telling him, you haven't thought everything through.
You haven't thought about your lady friend down in the DA's office. You haven't thought about your old butler. Bang!
And Tom Wilkinson does fucking great right here.
Oh, yes. Oh, God, yes.
100%.
And then you've got that fucking cold line again. I guess everybody just knows how to reach Bruce to the very center.
In the joint, Chill told me about the night he killed your parents. He said your father begged for mercy. Begged.
Like a dog.
Like a dog. Yep.
Yeah.
That's a harsh line.
Fuck that.
Yeah, that is a harsh line.
So then he gets fucking tossed out, and then you get this old who is it? Leaf, this old Croatian actor.
Dude, this old Croatian actor. So one of my favorite movies of all time is Snatch. And so, yeah, his name is Raid Srbija, and he plays tons of different Russian gangster characters. Dude, he plays Boris the Bullet Dodger. It's Snatch, but he's like a bum. And Bruce Wayne in that moment's like, you know what? For all of my hatred and anger towards the criminal element, I'm gonna get revenge. But Carmine Falcone was right. I don't know anything about this, and he lays down the Bruce Wayne persona.
That's what's cool. Is I saw it in your notes, and that's a perfect way to he sheds his theoretical and metaphorical coat here, where he's like,
he burns his wallet, his ID,
and he bounces.
Gives all of his money to the old man, swaps coats with him, and it's like, he's like, be careful who sees you with that. They're going to come looking for me. And the guy's like, who? And he goes, everybody.
Everybody, right? So now we know, we're all caught up. Now we know why he was in the Chinese prison. We know why everything happened.
Now we can stop Tarantinoing this film.
Yes, but it still does. It still does.
But wait, there's more.
I remember as I was doing the synopsis for this, I'm just like, it jumps around so much, but it flows so
well.
Yeah, it does.
well, dude.
Agreed.
I love how it's filmed and how it's put together, man. Bruce Wayne has shed his identity. He runs off into the streets, and there's a quick montage about him learning the criminal element. He talks about the first time he learned to steal food, and because he was starving, but like he never really compromised like his morals. He's still who he is, and I think that was really important. But everything he did was to toughen himself up.
But you learn how he ended up where he ended
You
up.
got that,
Like,
you got that funny little clip too where he's being arrested by these like Chinese police. They're all like, speaking Mandarin, and the police officer's like, "Fool, I don't care what your name is." And the guy's like, Bruce's like, "I'm not a criminal," and he's like, "You tell that to whoever owned these," and it's like it's all
him.
stamped
It's
like
all
Wayne
Wayne's
in the
right.
Enterprises,
That was a cool scene. So he was stealing for himself. So that's
It's his
kind of
own
the show,
shit.
like I was saying. Yeah, like he never really actually stole or became fully, criminal, but he did sort of like walk that edge and everything. He dabbled, and
he was undercover. He was like
Self-imposed.
he's trying to understand the criminal element.
Yep.
Like much like Sean does with all these.
Everything that he experiences, Bruce Wayne experiences, led him up to this moment where he meets Raza Ghul, like in that prison, and there he is back training with him. He's completed all the tests, the training, except for the final test, in which he is made to inhale a hallucinogenic vapor.
Breathe in your fears. Face them.
Made from the blue flower that he carried to the top of. So this is sort of like his symbolic completion of the entire journey.
The entire process,
into
right?
Into the League.
This is now dried up, so now you can crush it up, and then now you can
because he
blow it in somebody's dome.
In the scene. In the scenes, he actually had it with him, during like all the training. Like he keeps it with him, and so now it's dried out. They crush it up, and then it basically enhances his fear, right? And this is what his training has actually been about. It's what all the propaganda and what Roz was trying to teach him is that he had to learn self-control. He had to master his fear. He has to master his rage, his anger, all of his emotionality, right? It's really his transition into manhood, right? Because any man will tell you, or anybody who had a father worth his salt will tell you that everybody learns some sort of version of this, that you need to control yourself to truly be strong, to truly be powerful. You can't let your emotions overwhelm you. And to this point, even right to this moment, that's what the ultimate test was about. It's to push him to his limits of fear, but that he needs to maintain some sort of semblance of self-control.
Yeah, you have to control yourself. Like, just because she shuts that door in your face, it doesn't mean you break it off the hinges.
Yeah.
Lisa needs braces.
Chris had that one queued up for the next time we derailed.
You must bask in the fear of other men. And men fear most what they cannot see.
Like, everybody attacks him. So like
everybody
they're like switching places too.
Yeah.
And then like they'll go back, and at one point someone like kind of gets the back of his arm, like cuts his sleeve, cuts his arm a little bit, and so noticing that, he goes and cuts a couple other people's arms
that are having to stand there still. So like there's nothing they can do. Like so
it mimics his own wound that he took. Right.
So then and like through all this, like Descartes is kind of like narrating him, like telling him, what you have to become, what you have to get past or whatever. And he's like, and you can leave no sign. And he sees this guy's bloody arm, and he thinks it's him, so he's got a sword on him.
You cannot leave any sign.
I haven't.
And then fucking Ducard's like, God damn it, Terry, why didn't you tell me? And Terry's like, sorry.
You told me not to say anything.
Terry's like
classic Terry.
But then you see
mission accomplished.
You see Raza Ghul up there. He starts clapping.
Yeah.
He's impressed, dude. By
impressive.
But then you get like this whole the initiation where he's like completed his final thing, or so you think, And then they're gonna have to go against Batman's fucking ideology, where he's like, okay, you got to fucking kill this guy,
kill this dude,
which is the real ultimate test for Batman, right? Like he overcame his fear, everything was led up, his training, trained him for all of this. He finally overcame, managed his fear of bats, even on a hallucinogenic drug. But then they're like, hey,
not to just quote unquote burn through this scene, but he burns through this scene because he just he's like, you know what? Yeah. I don't like your club anymore. I'm going to burn it the fuck down. And
I'm going to kill everybody anyways.
Yeah, he's like, you know what, Ducard, I'll save you. Surely this won't come back and bite me later on in life. Yeah. I'll leave him with a villager, and I'm fucking peace out. So
he's done.
That's basically what happens in the scene.
Chris, you made the joke that, well, surely like saving Ducard's not going to come back, but it almost does seem like you're closing that chapter of the story because he saves him, he leaves him in this little village at the foot of the mountain with his Tibetan people or whatever.
Yeah, and they said that it'll tell him that he saved him.
I will tell him you saved his life.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Then somehow he's contacted Alfred, and Alfred's picking him up in their private jet, I guess. And he gets on the plane, and Alfred makes a little joke about.
Well, it's a good thing I left everything to you then. Quite so, sir. And you can borrow the rolls if you like. Just bring it back with a full tank.
He's been gone for 7 years.
So they declared him legally dead, right?
They declared him
say he's dead.
How was Alfred not blowing all the money on hookers and cocaine?
That's exactly what I was
There's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is a lot of money. But I mean,
I'd have drank myself to death for sure.
But
in a year.
But then, like, you get the little speech from Bale, like, he wants to be something elemental. He's like, you have to like shake people out of apathy.
Yeah.
So he wants to be a symbol.
This is where you see him start to merge his own philosophy with the League of Shadows. Like he took the best parts of both, right? Yeah. And he realizes that Raza Ghul is right about a lot of things. And that, you can't tolerate criminality. You have to be harsh on it, but at the same time, you don't have to become part of their world.
Well,
right?
Raza Ghul is talking about how corrupt Gotham is now, so he knows what he's getting into. He knows that it's not like, oh, excuse me, police officer, this guy was stealing.
Yeah, you're gonna have to play dirty.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's in the very next scene is Rachel Dawes is in court losing another case. What a terrible lawyer, dude.
Yeah.
She's hot. And as Dr. Jonathan Crane, played by Cillian Murphy, has another one of Carmine Falcone's thugs declared legally insane and moved to Arkham Asylum, an insane asylum for criminals that he himself runs.
Dude, one might say Rachel Dawes is a single female lawyer having lots of
sex.
Single female lawyer having lots of sex.
I would see that movie. I want to see that solo movie.
Chris Nolan to Cillian Murphy was like, you know what? I can't let you be Batman, but in the future, I will film a scene where Florence Pugh is riding you naked on a chair. How about that?
He's like, sold. Good? Yeah.
He's like, is that good? No. He's like, it's not good for anybody, but
I want to be Batman.
He's like, well, can I also like blow something up?
He's like, sure, why not?
Okay, sure.
Dude, Cillian Murphy again in this, like,
so good.
As we start to move forward with his alter ego unveiled, fucking everything with this hallucinogen shit is incredible. Like special effects and like really gets you in the. Like, I got surround sound in the house. It also will start fucking with you and the dogs. And they're like, wait, is somebody here? Like,
hey, other dog. F you.
Well, and that goes back to that to the soundtrack too. Like, if you listen to the tracks on it, all of those like the bats like screeching and stuff when he's doing
100%.
That's in those tracks.
Oh, I know, and I had to fucking stop it a couple times last night because I was like, something going on? Like, is someone here? Is this place haunted?
Yeah. But take a gummy and watch it.
Hell no,
hard pass. But anyway, all right. So let's move forward. So Rachel Dawes, she does, like you said, loses the case.
She wants to constantly meddle though too, in she's trying to do her best. She's a true believer.
Because Crane just has this fucking get out of jail free card, like of hey, they're fucking insane. Which you find out why, but like
Sean, do you realize who the guy is that is getting out of going to prison.
What's his name?
Victor Zsasz.
He's that's
Hush, right?
He's the one. Zsasz is the one that kills people and like marks his body with like those marks.
Oh, okay, cool.
He's a serial killer. So
he's a serial killer.
He does like the 1, 2, 3, 4 slash.
You'll see all the slashes all over his face and all over his body when he's killed people.
So he's in the comics, one of the characters. Okay, awesome, man. Good catch.
Wow! Shout out to it. Yeah, shout out to the Easter egg. That's nice. And so annoyed with Rachel Dawes, Dr. Crane, sick of her constant meddling, interfering. She's a true believer. She thinks the law is going to work.
She calls him out for being corrupt too.
Right.
She does. I'm trying to put these people in prison, and you keep like saying
like, you're sitting there with those goddamn gorgeous cheekbones. Jesus Christ, look at you!
Look at great cheese on your face.
Specimen.
I would say feminine cheekbones.
She likes what she likes.
He's a good mix. I want to see Katie Holmes' cheekbones, if you know what I'm saying.
Ass cheekbones.
Not Maggie Gyllenhaal. Don't get that confused, everyone out there.
God damn it, Sean.
Dr. Crane goes to Falcone and tells him to basically get rid of Rachel Dawes any way that he can because she's starting to become a liability to his ultimate plan. And that we find out very quickly that Dr. Crane works for a mysterious boss and who is having him and Falcone ship mysterious drugs into Gotham with an ulterior motive. But we don't really know what that is yet. We just know
just assume like it's just drugs, right?
Right now,
you're just like, they're just they're peddling their wares.
Yeah, we just
basically
assume it's Finn, right? And so finally, Bruce Wayne arrives back at Wayne Manor, and he's working on the grounds, starting to come up with his plan on how to sort of like fix Gotham, right? And he discovers the grounds are full of bats, and he discovers a bat cave.
Yeah, dude.
If you
it's
will,
massive
full
too.
Of bats. Yes,
a bat cave.
Yes. So this was a set that they built in one of Warner Brothers studios in. Shit, I can't remember the city, but it's somewhere in England. A huge fucking set.
Right.
They flooded it because they had pumps that were doing like so many thousands of gallons of water per minute. Like they built a river inside here.
Holy shit!
It's huge.
What's fucked up, man, is like so this set is built right. It's massive. Those flowing water. They shoot on it for a couple of months, and then they're like, "Yeah, just fucking tear it down. I want to go hang out there." That's rude.
They did the same thing. They did the same thing with Hobbits in Lord of the Rings. Just rip it all down,
and then you're just like, "What the fuck, man?"
They did rebuild it for the Hobbit, and it's up now to this very day. But the first original set got destroyed. They just tore it all up.
They're like, "We got to get this torn down. We're filming Skin Deep 2 tomorrow."
Sean needs to see this movie stat. It's a great movie.
He's already pre-ordered his ticket. The only one.
I'm the only one.
Right, and so like he explores this cave, and this is the most iconic scene in the movie to me personally. To me, this is where Bruce Wayne actually transitions into Batman. He's exploring the cave, and he's attacked yet again by the same group of bats, assumedly, or the same kind of family like he was when he was a kid. And he starts to thrash and cower down in fear, but slowly you see him transition and start to accept it. Because at that moment, to me, like that's like before he has all of the tech and everything, that's when he's like, I have changed in something different.
Bats
now.
are like smoking, and they're like, "Fuck, Tim, is that kid? Like, get everybody, come on, put out your cigarette, let's go."
What a dumb dumbass!
You remember when we made him piss his pants,
dude? Let's do it again.
He's so scared of us, a little bitch.
Dude, so in that moment to me, he becomes Batman, but he still needs a lot of help, a lot of work. So he goes to his own company, Wayne Enterprises, and talks to the current CEO, William Earl, and asks for a job, like a job, right? Like, all right.
Yeah, and Earl, he's like, before he realizes that Wayne's there, he's having this conversation about how, I know this is not how Thomas Wayne would have wanted to do things, but we are going to basically start selling weapons.
Right.
We're going to go public. Like, this is where the company's going. Then he finds out Bruce is there, and
he's alive.
Yeah, yeah. Bruce, you're supposed to be dead.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bruce is like, I know this sale is going on. I'm not trying to disrupt anything. I just want to learn, what my family built. And he says that applied sciences had caught his eye.
Yeah, the Department of Applied Sciences, which is like a dead end, no go anywhere, like part of the company. But
So
obviously, Bruce has ulterior motives, and everybody already knows where this is going at this point in time.
So so he goes down to Applied Sciences and meets Lucius Fox, which Christopher Nolan says that when he writes dialogue or characters, he never has anyone in mind except for this part.
For Morgan Freeman.
Everything he wrote.
Yep.
He wrote for the real Metatron.
Dude, Morgan Freeman in this role too. I will just keep raving about the casting. This is perfect. Perfect fucking casting. His relationship with like Bruce, the back and forth, the quips, like fucking perfect, man.
Christopher Nolan literally thought to himself, he says,
Blast with the devil of the teenagers like the Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman. You do get to see all the fucking advanced tech and shit you got down here, which this is where you finally find, like Shadow, you talked about where you saw the new Batmobile or whatever. Yep. On that Icons, they talked about how they built that thing, and it was a fucking chore because they wanted it to actually not only you need to be able to drive it, they wanted it to be able to make the jumps and not like break. Yep. So they were constantly like they were constantly jumping it and it would break, like suspension rear would break. They fix it. They strengthen that up. Now your left rear brakes. They'd strengthen it and so they did this until they got a actual full driving version. And that dude said the stuntman, if you look now, I can't unsee it now. If you look at the windows are like this fucking big, right? Yeah. And so they said the stuntman is just like his fucking face up to the window trying to get any periffs he can because he's really driving this thing in all these stunt scenes.
Christopher Nolan is also notorious for being a fan of the James Bond series. So he essentially makes Lucius Q.
Right. That makes sense.
I could see that.
The tech guy that supplies Batman with all of his cool gadgets.
Kevlar utility harness, gas-powered magnetic grapple gun, Nomex survival suit for advanced infantry.
He is now fucking suited up, and now it's time for him to start fucking around with these things, right?
Yeah. So he takes the suit first. I really like this scene where he sneaks into the police station, right?
What do you want? Carmine Falcone brings in shipments of drugs every week. Nobody takes him down. Why?
He goes, "Who are you?" And he goes, "Watch for my sign."
Yep.
And he goes, "You're just one person." And then you just hear this whisper. He goes,
"Now we're two."
But this is also too like this starts this trend. And South Park fucking parodied this and Carmine was playing the coon, and it's the funniest shit where he's just like he's in the police station and he'd say something and it pans back to the cops and it pans back to the window and they're like,
"Look, kid, you need to stop." He's gone.
No, I'm just over here now.
Like so. Anyway, he does that and then he bounces. But like, I kind of
well. He does. Like, he goes out the window, but he doesn't just like vanish. Gordon like chases him.
Right.
He goes up to the roof and he jumps. It looks like his ribs just like land right on that railing. Whatever.
Blackout drunk Chris landing on a couch.
and that's kind of part of the Batman Year One. It's a similar scene where he kind of jumps and he kind of misses or overcompensates and hits this like ledge, and he's hurt.
Yeah. So like you said, so this is covered in the comic. Like, where it's like
part of that. Yeah,
he's still learning how to be Batman, man.
So after that hard jump, it's a quick cut right back to Applied Sciences. And
well, what is it today? More spelunking?
No. Today's space jumping.
I don't know how much access Nolan has to like government projects.
A little weird now in hindsight.
But the memory cloth was also a real project by the Department of Defense, where you would have a rigid structure, like made inside of cloth, and I would think maybe this is more like for putting up tents, some type of housing or something, but. you put an electric current through it, and it pops it to that rigid structure.
Yeah, it looks like a wing. It actually looks like a wing of like a plane, like so it can form different. Which obviously he makes like into like he forms into a cape, right? And now he like this is his explanation of how he can fly. Because in the comic books, you know, like I don't know if like in year one Batman, if like he's able to fly, but this shows like he's able to glide, right?
Yeah.
Like and that's why he can, like that's why he could do that, right? Because
they had several capes. Apparently, there was the lady that actually did the capes was in that Icons documentary, and she said there were 20 capes, and I think she said 20, and she said I know there's 20, but hey, as a cat, I had to cut every fucking one of them, like because so you have a smaller one, a different one when he's driving, a different one when he's flying, a different one like the long one that's blowing in the wind when he's standing in like a, you know, blown in the wind over the city. Right. Like you have different capes for different shots, which makes sense.
You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say it. This was probably the last one they used a real cape. Maybe in the Batman for the action scenes they did, but like all the Snyder stuff, the capes were CGI, and fuck you. Like this, just fucking figure it out. You know,
fucking figure it out.
Figure it out.
You figure it out.
You figured it.
Yeah, this whole movie, they really want you to believe that like this is possible, and like there's a rhyme and reason, and they go even into the point where some nerd might be like, well, they would notice you were ordering, you know, like the Batmobile and all this other stuff, and they addressed that, all those nerdy
Yes, they
freaking
did.
comic book
Everybody's going to give it the third degree.
Yeah. This is one of the first ones that I felt like of the Batmans,
like,
they made sure.
The fucking Nolan was like, get fucked, Snyderverse.
and then you have all the nerds like after this came out, they're like, well, I don't know why he has to fucking just over-explain everything.
Yeah,
I mean,
because of you.
Some people
argue about
some
it.
people just will never be happy.
And
we can never be satiated.
Yeah,
we can't.
They're called divorcees.
We can't forget that Batman, aka Bruce Wayne, has been gone for 7 years. So a lot of these scenes are him sort of figuring out what's going on. He's doing a lot of espionage, like Chadwick said, he's spying on the crime organizations. He's getting inside men. That's actually the reason that he puts on the ski mask and part of the bat suit to go visit Commissioner Gordon, because there's a scene where, Jim Gordon, Sergeant Gordon, where his partner, this guy's name is Flass, which is, he's just this fat guy. I think it's short for flaccid, but I don't know. Played by Mark Boone Jr. And the guy's an awesome actor, by the way.
I knew him from Sons of Anarchy before this.
Yes. Yes, he plays like a biker again. In this, he's obviously a corrupt cop, and he's on the take, and he takes some extortion money from one of the store owners and tries to give Jim Gordon some, and Jim Gordon refuses, which I love, because he's like, he doesn't want to take and be corrupt, but he also tells Flass that he wouldn't rat him out.
Right.
Like, he understands.
Well, he understands the fucking dynamic, right?
Yeah. And that is so realistic, man.
That's a good line. That's another good line too. It's like in a town this bent, who's there to rat to anyway?
Yeah, and Flash laughs at him, but at that point in time in the film, you don't see him, but Batman is watching him, and that whole thing going down, and that's how he identifies Jim Gordon as a good cop, somebody he can trust. That's why he doesn't go to any of the people in the department or in the police. So
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, so that's how because when he's got the stapler on behind his head, he says that you're one of the only good cops. That's how he knows that, because he's been watching.
He's been fucking watching him. Yeah.
Exactly.
Nice.
And so Bruce Wayne's doing all this espionage, right, and trying to figure out who we can trust, getting inside men in the police department. He's spying on the crime organizations, and he finds out finally, of course, that there's a drug shipment coming into the docks. Like one night, finally, all the aspects of the Batsuit are assembled. Everything Shad was talking about, all put together. The Batmobile, assumedly created and spray painted black.
Game on now, baby.
We're ready to go.
And even the Batmobile, which they never call it the Batmobile, they call it the Tumbler. But even that is explained in detail by Fox. Like
here on the throttle, flip that open and throttle up. This will boost you into a rampless jump.
It looks badass.
Yeah.
The tumbler looks badass. It's still badass.
It's absolutely awesome.
It's a great design.
But we don't see that in action just yet. But we go to the docks where Falcone's having a shipment brought in. He wants a flask there for a little extra security because people have been kind of nosing around or whatever.
Right.
And this is, to me, where this, at least momentarily, turns into a fucking horror movie.
What?
Yeah,
that's what makes it exciting. He's supposed to be scary to the bad guys.
But it's a horror film, and you're on the other side of it.
Yeah,
like you're pulling for the fucking the horror element of this.
You are, but you're still sort of unsure what he's going to do, and like I'm sure Shabba was going to mention it, but the way that it's filmed is from the point of view of the criminals. Like, you're even though you're rooting against them, you still kind of feel like you're one of them momentarily because you're like your friends are getting pulled like into the sky and shooting guns as they're dying and screaming. You assume.
Where are you?
Yeah.
Then he drops in and Leaf, I'm sure you kind of want to nerd out on this Kesey fighting method.
Yeah, he uses a lot of obviously martial arts, and the fight choreographer, I don't even know who it is. Like, I didn't do that deep enough research. Whoever does the fight choreography for Batman uses a lot of different styles of fighting, but obviously Batman is a conglomeration of a lot of different fighting styles. There's a lot of Filipino martial arts used in it because, of course, Batman uses weapons too. But his fighting style is like really brutal. Like, he uses a lot of elbows and knees and headbutts, and it's just really very like close quarters combat. Like everything he does, he doesn't usually throw a lot of kicks. He breaks arms and takes people down. It's really fast and brutal, and it is excellent.
Yeah,
it is excellent fight choreography. It's fun to watch.
One thing to add too is one of the notes I had. Apparently, because the voices are so drastically different in this, because I think they started leaning into Batman would want to hide his identity, from Bruce Wayne to Batman. But I guess the first person given credit for two different voices is Kevin Conroy, who voiced the animated series. In the Bat universe, he's the first one given credit to R.I.P. Giving credit to giving two voices, one to Bruce Wayne and then one to Batman. So,
and it is starkly different. I mean, he is a legendary voice actor.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so,
but you get the epic line with like Falcone.
Falcone. He's telling his driver to take off. He finds out his driver's already been like knocked out, and he's trying to load his shotgun. And he's like, "What the hell are you?"
And then you get the
I'm Batman.
Where's Rachel?
Everybody's cheering. No, not yet.
I'm sorry.
But you know what?
Where's the ugly Rachel?
If I have to take issue with anything in this movie, I think my one point of contention would be him stating, "I'm Batman."
I loved it. I thought it was good. It's fun.
I think in this ultra like realistic, portrayal of this character, I think it would have been more like someone else names him, like they're hauling people off, or one of the crooks is like telling the cops, it was like it was a bat, or it was a man, and the cops like making fun of him, like it was a Batman. Is that what you're trying to say?
But this is a throwback to like every the Keaton one. It's like who are you?
It's like a
Batman.
staple.
I'll say exactly what I think about this. And I think there's a reason. You notice he only tells Carmine Falcone that he's Batman. He's the only person he says that to, and because in my opinion, he wants him to know and feel an extra level of fear. He doesn't tell that to any of the other guys. He just beats them up and knocks them unconscious. He tells Carmine because it's personal between them two. Yeah. And I think that's why that he tells him that, because he wants him to know, hey, I'm the guy. Obviously, can't be like I'm Bruce Wayne. I'm the guy that you need to think about, that you need to fear, that you need to tell people about, that you need to be watching out for. He wanted to make it personal.
And he did, and to make it even more personal, he ties him to this spotlight, so it makes basically a bat signal up there. Which
remember he told Gordon, "Watch for my sign."
Yeah, he said, "Watch for my sign." What they didn't cut to is the flesh burning off the back of Falcone from that goddamn hot spotlight that would have turned him into fucking well done steak that you need some ketchup for.
That sets off the flavor of a steak like some ketchup.
Do not touch on that part of this. That dude would have been fucking fried. But, fuck him. So,
all right.
Dude, we'll zip through this next part just because it's just kind of funny that you get the reverse side of the Playboy Bruce Wayne, where he brings his girl, which when he pulls up in his car and the girls are stacked on top of each other. Yeah. That's fucking the most pimp shit ever. So you take him, he goes in. He's being a rich asshole. They were like, "Hey, looks like your dates are naked and it's not a pool over there." And he just like, "You know what? I'm gonna buy the fucking hotel. Like, let us do our shit."
As one does.
Is Earl? Yeah. Is it Earl that's there with
Earl
him?
is there. Yeah, it's like a corporate dinner.
Yeah, and somebody asked him about the Batman, and he's like, a guy dresses up like a bat clearly has issues.
Exactly. Like, so he's downplaying that, but like you get my favorite look on this scene is when he's coming down. He's soaked because he gets in the water too in his full fucking, I assume, custom suit. Yeah. And then he runs into Rachel on the way out, and he really has that "I've been caught" look on his face.
Yeah.
Like, because she hasn't seen him yet really since he's been back, and he's just like, "Oh, hey, no, they don't mean anything to me. I don't know where these girls came from.
Well, I'm in all an act, baby."
This is a really good setup line. In this movie there are 2 or 3 lines that are repeated. They're thematic lines, but he tries to explain to her, all this, I am more underneath.
Deep down,
deep down, I am more, and she's like,
It's not who you are underneath. It's what you do that defines you.
She kind of handed him his ass there with that one line.
She did, and he was just like, he's like, "Hey, I mean, I have the rest of this movie and then the next movie to make this up to you, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
Right?
I'll look completely the same. I'll be totally attractive and not a melted face.
You lose. So,
dude, she just says she hits him with the old. It's actions speak louder than words, Bruce. And I'm really mad at you because you're with a bunch of whores you're with a bunch of whores shaking their little behinds all over the place.
That's when the whores move in.
Dude, that's when the whores moves in. So let's get our introduction here to Scarecrow, man, because this scene is fucking dope as shit with these special effects.
So Falcone's in jail. After being arrested by the Batman, they peel his
having his
burnt
fat
skin.
back burn off. Like,
they just rip it like
they just peel him off of the light. And so he's in prison.
So apparently he does the old fake cut your wrist, horizontal, not vertical. And so the whoever that's caretaker or whatever at the prison, she calls Crane to come check him out. She's like, he's probably trying to go for the insanity plea or whatever. So he goes in, and Falcone is like, he's trying to shake him down. Basically, he's like, I know there's something more to these drugs you're bringing in, and I know something big's going on, and I want in. And
he lets him in.
They scream and they cry. This is your day now.
I love that, dude. It's so fucking cool. So he drugs him, hits him with the vapor, with the vapors, and then like, dude, the every time Scarecrow they see his face, like it's so fucking cool, man. But also shout out our boy Ronnie. He did a cosplay of Scarecrow a couple times. That was bad fucking.
It looked really good.
He actually did the comic book version. I know you probably know this, Sean, with his syringe fingers.
Yes.
What the hell was that all about?
Well, I think that might have been the Arkham games. Right?
Arkham, yeah. It was Batman Arkham.
Dude. So now Falcone's fucking nuts. Like, he's crazy, and
he's lost it.
Yeah, he's seen some shit, so guess where he's going?
You know what a nitwit school is?
Nice to Arkham. So
Arkham Asylum, dude. And he's out of the way now. And that point is when he talks to Commissioner Gordon, and he's like, "Oh, so what's up with his drugs?" And Commissioner Gordon's like, "Well, I don't know necessarily. My partner, Flaccid, knows." And so he was like, "But he'll never talk." And Batman's like,
he'll talk to
He'll
me.
talk to me.
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
he pays Flash a visit, and this is where we get yet another really good scene.
Yeah.
With that's like trailer worthy that you see all the time. In the rain,
Dude.
he goes and like
Yeah, he's got him like in a snare trap, basically. Like,
Dude, that drop, where he like wheels him up, and then does this guy Flash also kind of look like Homeboy that played Michael Uslan in the play?
Oh,
just a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. So but yeah, man, he's got him like hanging by one foot upside down.
dude.
He's like grabbed him by his hair.
I never knew. I don't know. I swear to God.
Swear to me.
He just didn't he just kind of just fuck him up down there or leave him down there? I don't remember.
So he basically pretends like he's going to drop him and murder
Right,
him.
and
He
then
a few times, and he finally lets him go. But he falls like a little ways. The guy is so fat and out of shape. He looks like he's just been
dead. Yeah,
completely worked over. And he finds
he throws a little kid.
he finds dude. So he finds out he has to go to the Narrows because that's where the drop off point is. And
Yeah.
so Batman goes to the Narrows, and there's a kid there. Shout out! I think it's the same actor that plays the kid in Game of Thrones, the kid, the Child King, Joffrey.
Joffrey.
Yeah, it's that same kid.
Which that guy, he doesn't even act anymore because he got fucking death threats because people hated that character so much.
Jesus Christ! Yeah, people are awesome.
People are fantastic. Also, he is not an American child, so he doesn't sound British. So shout out again to that kid who's an incredibly
to do that. That's fucking
good
awesome.
actor, dude. So yeah, he's like
piece of tech.
My friends are never gonna believe me like that.
Won't believe me.
Yeah, and
they
so
did.
Batman tosses him a piece of high quality military grade technology. And there's a deleted scene where the kid is being indicted by the FBI for stealing military grade technology. Right?
But Batman, he's crawling up the side of this building to go into where the drop off point is for the drugs.
Yeah, to find out more information, and this is where we get Scarecrow versus Batman round 1.
Right.
Yeah. But how awesome is this? Like he's in there, he's like investigating, and then he hears like Crane and his 2 thugs coming in, and he just like disappears into the shadows.
Yep.
And you see them like the lights are off, but you can see those 3 guys, and you just see like Batman like standing up in the background behind them,
totally silent.
And then
that's like that's also like a callback to '89. Remember '89 when the 2 thugs are on the roof, and then you just see like the silhouette behind them, like it's fucking cool.
And then this one of the guys, like they're going to torch the place, basically, like get rid of all the evidence, and then this one guy goes to take a piss, and you get this like. He's in there taking a leak, and the camera just kind of pans, and he turns to the mirror, and right before you can see the reflection, his face just gets like smashed into the glass.
Yeah, dude. Every time I see that, I'm like, ow.
And then,
it's so beautiful.
And then Batman like dispatches the other guy, pretty quick, and then Scarecrow hits him with the fear toxin.
Hits him with the fucking gas, bro.
Oh, having trouble. Take a seat. Have a drink.
The people in the street are like watching Batman like being on fire. He's poisoned by this hallucinogenic drug. He's on fire. He's just like
he's having a bad day.
Onto a car. Like he's messed up.
So he shoots the grappling gun up, and you get this again. It's just a 1 or 2 second little thing, but it explains. He hooks the rope or the cable around this little hook on his belt, and that's how he's able to like lift himself up.
Yeah.
So it's not like pulling his shoulder out of socket or anything.
Right.
Yeah, dude. It's fucking good.
So he goes up. He calls Alfred. Alfred's got him in the back of like the rolls or whatever, and he's back there just basically speaking nonsense like poison.
Right. Alfred realizes without any other alternative, he has to take him to Lucius Fox. So now, without a shadow of a doubt, Lucius was not stupid. So he basically already knew. But now he knows Batman's identity.
Yeah, and so he had to get him the antidote for the poison, which he does. He was out for 2 fucking days. Talk about that hangover.
Yeah, losing all of this time, which really obviously upset him too. You could tell he's just like, I can't believe, I've lost this time. And that's when Rachel comes downstairs, she comes to give him like his birthday
because
gift,
it's his birthday. Like, so he
that
slept
day-
2 days. That now it's his birthday, and she comes and gives
Many
him
happy returns.
Yeah, and
Yes.
she comes and gives him this. He hadn't eaten for 2 days. God damn. Anyway, so he goes. He's fasting. That's why he's so shredded.
I need to
She changed his bedpan.
God, I
dude.
need to start doing some crunches or something.
I don't know what we're doing wrong, but anyway. So this is kind of a cool first full circle moment. Rachel comes, gives him a gift, and she's kind of like, she's kind of disappointed at like what he's doing, and because she has no idea that who he is or what he's doing. She thinks he's just fucking partying all the time, like the Eddie Murphy song. And she gives him a gift. She says her piece. She takes off because she can't stay because some shit's going down. She gets a call, and so when he opens the gift, it's the fucking arrowhead stolen from Leaf's ancestors that he had and gave her.
Dude.
You're so mad about
So
this.
she's leaving. First off, her employer is missing, the DA, because she doesn't know it, but he's been shot in the back because he found the microwave, whatever it is, that the League of Shadows has stolen. But then she gets the call that Falcone's being moved from the prison to Arkham. On Crane's orders. So she's going to Arkham, and Bruce is like, you can't go there. It's in the Narrows. And then she's kind of bitchy. She's like, well, some of us have work to do.
Yeah, she hits him. She's like,
she's a woman.
She's like, that's our. She's like, you can't call it the Narrows. That's our word.
Yeah.
You're dead. You've been dead for 7 years.
That's her N word.
Yeah.
But not only that, like he also knows that it's getting more dangerous because he's starting to piece it all together.
Right.
There's like a there's like a hallucinogenic drug being spread somewhere. There's like a microwave that like Wayne Tech that's been stolen. Like it's all starting to slowly come together.
Yeah, he doesn't know about the microwave emitter yet, but he does know, like he's felt those effects before, but it's like much more potent and like weaponized now in aerosol form. So he's suspecting now that something's being made from the rare blue flower.
In the comic book, Sean, is there any reference to like the blue flower or any the hallucinogenic drug, or is it just like
I think that was all original.
Yeah, I think that was added to the movie. The Scarecrow had his own like formula for how he did his like hallucinogenic.
But he still used hallucinogenic in the comic, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, but it wasn't based off of that blue flower. I think that was just a connector for Scarecrow, the League of Shadows, and this whole event type of thing.
Beautiful device to bring like all of this together because it gets deeper. We're going to talk about it. Like
speaking of beautiful devices, Rachel, like she is
beautiful devices.
She's an original character for the story. She's not in the comics, but it's really important that there was someone like from Bruce's childhood that knows like he was a good person deep down, and then she sees this kind of nonchalant playboy, not caring character as he is now as an adult, and she still like wants to believe that he's this good person, but he's doing everything to the contrary in her eyes.
I think that the Rachel character is because again, like Nolan was a fan of the Superman. I think this is like your Superman female Lois Lane, someone to keep him that he can confide in and be grounded in, yet still not really know what the fuck's going on. Like I think that
she grounds him 100%. I think that's why they had her character in here.
Speaking of her getting grounded, she shouldn't have gone to the Narrows because she gets her fucking comeuppance at the Narrows.
She does.
And she goes nuts too because it turns out it's scary juice.
Yeah, yeah. So
and that stuff is potent.
And one thing that they don't cover in the comics is this stuff makes your nipples incredibly hard.
I did see that. Yeah, I did see. It's not in the comics.
There's a lot of nipples in the comics, so yeah, I would say that's all around the comics.
Do you think like you think we've drank so much that like Scarecrow would be like, all right, you guys found me out, and he like sprays us, and we're just like,
That's pretty cool, man. What's up, dude?
Shadow's like, hit me again. I almost got a buzz.
Yeah. I'm gonna thirst.
I'm gonna shoot.
Yeah,
I'm gonna shoot.
But anyway, so
we're like Lieutenant Dan. Is that all you've got?
So Batman.
You call this a storm?
Batman has to show up and save the fucking day, which of course he does. But this is funny because I'm sure we'll have 1,000 fucking jokes on this. Like, I don't want to zip through the scene too much, but basically, you've like Shadwick said, you found out they're poisoning the water supply, and then so you're like, okay, well, which we get to later on, like exactly how that's going to work. But you're like, immediately, you're like, oh shit, if they drink this, like they're fucked. But that's not how it works. But you find it out in a second. But so he's got it after he whips some ass.
Whip his ass.
He's got to get Rachel back to get her taken care of.
Well,
Well,
hold on. So he whips some ass.
Whip his ass.
He grabs Crane and gives him a dose.
Oh, that's right.
A dose of your own medicine, doctor.
Who are you working for?
Dude, his scary face, that whole like that demon face.
I'm a fucking demon.
It's fucking crazy.
Oh
shit, you got one?
Oh, you have it?
Oh shit! Back up! There it is. There it is.
That's badass. You got the figure?
The demon Batman, dude.
Dude, he's a fucking
awesome,
demon.
dude.
That's awesome.
It's
Well
got to be a
done.
rare find. Like, he should have taken the Joker's advice. It would have been better to interrogate the Scarecrow before he gassed him and made him insane. Like, because you lose all sense of reality when you get gassed.
He finds out a movie later, you know.
He asks him like who he's working for, and he says Raza Ghul. And I love the makeup on this. Like, I'm sure that was one part that was digital, but even like the growl, he's like, Raza Ghul is dead.
Yeah, and he's got like black teeth. It looks like some shit's coming out of his mouth.
I think a lot of that was practical. A lot of it, at least his face and stuff. I mean, it looked good and it was scary, and I think it would scare anybody.
Dude, 100%.
Really saw that.
Right,
100%.
But I think that's how criminals are supposed to see him, though.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He's confused about him saying that he works for Raza al Ghul because Raza al Ghul's dead. We all saw him die. Ken Watanabe's eyes were open. The blood was out of his mouth.
And
that's
he had
death.
a piece of wood on him. So
And that piece of wood on him, that's equals death.
Yeah,
and so
he
he's
had some
confused.
pallet boards on him.
But the Scarecrow had the forethought. And he was really smart in a lot of different scenes we didn't even get to. Talk about it in the comments if we left anything out or got anything wrong, please. He had the forethought to call the cops, and he knew that they would take care of Batman for him. And so the cops, the SWAT team, everybody shows up. Sergeant Gordon runs in, obviously, by himself, and now Batman has to try to escape with Rachel somehow because he's the only one who has the inoculation
that can help
to
her.
this stuff. And the cops are just about to come in.
Yeah,
and
he takes this little device out from like the bottom of his boot.
Yeah,
turns it on.
This is one of the coolest scenes probably in the movie.
Yeah.
This scene
This
that
is
you're
one
talking
that
about.
even when I was watching this, I was like, "There's like, how is he going to get out of this?" And when he saw that little signal from his boot calls bats from like in and around the area,
dude.
I was like, "What is
So
happening
freaking cool.
right now,
And
dude?"
then he like
So good.
repels down through the bats because they're all distracted by the swarm of
and
bats.
and all the cops are like,
The bats are now his
and
ally.
That one little second where his cape like flares out and he's like gliding down is one of the coolest shots in any Batman movie.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's fucking
and it
amazing.
echoes 3 different scenes in this movie. And it all comes together. It echoes the very first scene in the film with the logo where the bats are flying. It echoes the bats obviously attacking him when he was a kid. And it echoed when he sort of like made peace with his past when they were swirling around him in the Batcave, and now they're on his side.
Well, does it also echo his dad rappelling down the well to save him?
Yes,
I mean, that's
yes,
true, yeah.
because it transitions his. This is the full transition with his relationship with bats, right? Like he has fear and like sort of like anger and hatred towards them. They're sort of his tormentors. Then he makes peace with them, right? Like he accepts the fact they exist, and then now they're on his side. Now
They're allies.
he's with them. Yeah, and it's beautiful, dude.
Yeah,
the way
It's a great scene. It's so freaking cool when he comes down.
He tells Gordon, she's been poisoned by a psychotropic hallucinogen. And he's got to save her. And he goes, "Was Crane working for Falcone?" And he's like, "He mentioned someone else, someone worse."
Yeah, and, which you're like, "There's no way. There's just no way."
So, but he gives Rachel to Gordon for him to get her out of the building. He goes, he blows some doors off of some of the cells, and makes his exit basically, and then we get finally the tumbler.
Yes,
which the big car chase of the film, because every good action film needs one.
Yeah,
and this is a hell of an action chase.
So they were actually going in Chicago. No, they were on like an abandoned like interstate or whatever, Lower Wacker Drive, I believe is what it's called.
Giggity.
But they were really going up to 90 miles an hour in this chase.
Yeah, man. Like I think they said the camera guy, the stunt guy that I saw in that documentary, he said that the camera guy was like, "What the fuck kind of engine you got in that? He's like, dude, we're hitting like 90 trying to keep up with your ass, like in the tumbler. Like they were really."
He said that
dude was humming.
He had never done car chases that fast before. He's like, helicopter chases we've done that fast, but they outfitted this Mercedes-Benz like an SUV with, I think they called it like the ultimate arm or something like that. It was like basically just like a huge crane with a camera on it.
Right.
So they were catching this thing, 80, 90 miles an hour going down the road.
Dude, it looks so fucking good.
He's jumping. I gotta know, man. He's jumping over buildings on rooftops on this thing.
They
He's
were really
launching.
those jumps are. I mean, obviously not rooftop to rooftop, but those jumps are real. They wanted those jumps to happen because that was like. Again, like Nolan's like, we want this as practical as possible.
Yeah,
so
the running through the wall was real.
Like
it's a breakaway wall, but the
design pays off.
The effects are real.
The designer of the car is like, man, I really didn't want to do it because it's a breakaway wall, but you still
never know.
You're still going to sustain some damage.
Can you imagine how many fucking you get a flat tire, or you step on a nail, and then you got to get those replaced? I bet those are like $6,000 or $7,000 a tire.
The bat fix a flat is next to the shark repellent.
It's the shark repellent. He just pulls that out and sprays it in there.
And also, the tumbler does not have a front axle. The wheels are like independent.
Right.
So you think about like running through anything with that.
You break one and really
Sean,
easy.
is there anything like this Batmobile in the comics? Anything like this scene?
Not prior.
This is some groundbreaking stuff.
Uslan mentioned it. Yeah.
The Dark Knight Returns, he has a tank, but
it's like a tank. Yeah, it's a little bit different, but the style of it is basically new for the movie. The tank in The Dark Knight Returns, the comic is like awesome, but it's a lot bigger too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge.
Yeah,
and it's a beast.
So Rachel, more drugged up than one of Bill Cosby's dates, finally gets back to the Batcave.
You mean less?
If you had said that,
almost.
If you had said that 1 second, I spit, but nothing came out.
Almost got you. Allegedly. Anyway, he gets her saved.
There'll be no spitting tonight.
Yeah, so he's got the antidote there, so he's able to give her the antidote. So she's gonna be okay. Sergio's gonna be all right.
Sergio's gonna be all right.
But now he's got to go back.
She's gonna 21 kookaroos?
Dude, he's got to go back to the rich person party, and I fucking love the angle on this.
This thing's so good.
This angle on this is because he's okay, cool. He's back at the party, whatever. Ducard shows up. And then, they were like, "Oh, I need you to." Actually, before Ducard shows up, she's like, "I've got someone that needs to meet you." And he's like, "It's Raza Ghul." And he's like, "What the fuck? He's dead."
You see the back of his head, and it's an bald Asian guy.
Yeah.
And you're like, "No way!" He turns around, and it's not him. It's
like,
a different Asian guy.
Like, you're not Raza Ghul.
And then
I saw
behind
him
him,
die.
Yep.
He hears a thick Irish accent.
Yep. And dude, it's fucking Ducard. And then he's
AKA
like,
Liam Neeson.
And
It's like, I have a certain set of skills.
It's
None of them is being a good father.
yeah. They're always taken from him, and he's just like,
I'd like to ask a few questions about this breakfast cereal.
Yeah, box of tricks.
That's right.
shout out Ted too. Go watch Ted too. So anyway, I can't believe we got through this whole thing with just that one. But so he's basically gonna tell him like he's about to fucking kill all these people, right? Like, and if as soon as Wayne does anything, like they're gonna go ahead and if he tries to tell him to evacuate or whatever, but then the fucking switch, he flips the switch and he's drunk fucking rich dude. Mm-hmm. And he's doing the slur out of nowhere, which he's not drunk, obviously. Like, so he pretends to be drunk, this pretentious asshole about how they're all fake friends and basically fuck you.
Sycophantic phonies.
Yep, and so
big
they're all,
phony. Please leave.
Yep, they're all outraged. They're like, your dad, the apple falls far from the tree, and then like, they get the fuck out of there, but he just saved their lives, and they don't know it. Ungrateful twats. And then
classic rich people.
Yep, 100%, man. So now they're gonna just fucking kill. Yeah. They're gonna destroy Wayne Manor.
Yeah, and the card, which we now know is actually Ra's al Ghul.
Right.
He gives him this speech about how the League of Shadows has always like reset civilizations once they become like too unruly or too corrupt.
Every time a civilization reaches the pinnacle of its decadence, we return to restore the balance.
You call me monologuing.
Yeah, he
does, man.
You find out that like because Lucius says that in the water form it's harmless. It's got to be vaporized before it has any potency. And then you find out, oh shit, the microwave emitter. Like, so what they're gonna do is they're gonna fucking vaporize all the water supply and completely make Gotham crazy, which would be like modern day Detroit.
Yeah, exactly. Tear Gotham apart like modern day Detroit.
Yes,
and that's exactly. So I don't honestly feel like this is monologuing, and I'll tell you why. Because Ra's al Ghul, despite everything that happened, he still considers Bruce a friend. He even asks him. He gives him another freaking chance to join them. He tells him, he's like, "Hey, you could still join me, but I want you by my side." He still loves Bruce as a brother. He's like, dude,
I want you to bang my daughter.
He wants him to bang his daughter and become part of the family.
Talia.
Cartoon Talia, preferably, but and so Bruce still obviously refuses. He's dead set in his ways, and Ra's al Ghul and him have a battle. His thugs set fire to. Yeah, he sets fire to Wayne Manor, and as they're battling, Bruce does not mind his footing, and I get one of my favorite lines in this. A beam falls on Bruce, right, like a flaming beam.
Because he never learned to mind his surroundings.
Half the size of the one that killed Ra's al Ghul, by the way, Shadwick.
That's why I didn't kill him.
Right, like it didn't. It didn't kill him. So he's laying there unconscious, and Ra's al Ghul turns to him and says, "You burned down my house and left me for dead." And he said, "Justice is balance, so I do the same to you." Like dude, it is a beautiful, and because that is what the League of Shadows is all about, right? Like enacting final equality and justice on corrupt societies, and that's how he sort of treated Batman in this situation. He's like, dude, like, I'm doing what you did to me, even though it's sort of twisted because Bruce Wayne still saved him, like in the end, not realizing he was actually the real and true Ra's al Ghul. But again, shout out to the League of Shadows because he told Bruce everything was about theatricality and deception, and like Bruce is so. Even at his core, he's still sort of pure and honest and good and righteous. He still would never think betrayal. He should have, right? Like especially by now, he should have anticipated something along that nature, but he didn't. Dude. Thankfully, Alfred shows up and saves.
Dude, I love the line. Alfred's like,
"What is the point of all those push-ups if you can't even lift a bloody log?"
That is a great line, too.
Like, at the same time that all this is going down, man, they just fucking unearthed Arkham Asylum. They opened all the fucking doors. These dudes are about to go out. They're about to vaporize everything. So they're not only going to make everyone crazy, they're going to make violent fucking criminals even crazier.
And Ra's even tells Bruce, is like, you're defending a city that's so corrupt that we've infiltrated every facet of its infrastructure. And as you're saying that, you're seeing like the dirty cops are releasing Crane and giving him his mask and
telling him it's time to play.
Yeah.
I don't want to ever take anything away, obviously from Heath Ledger, but I just want to say, Raza Ghul makes some really freaking good points, man.
Dude, and a great bad guy in this. Like, I mean,
dude, he's so
great,
good.
But
and
he's so.
This movie was overshadowed by The Dark Knight.
was.
Like The Dark Knight came out, and this was like overshadowed because of like the Joker and stuff. But Ra's al Ghul's a great villain.
I feel like this had to set the fucking pieces up though for
it was.
The Dark
Well,
Knight,
I mean, it's Batman Begins. Like
correct. It can't be.
So this
Dark
movie,
Knight, you know.
Yeah, this movie like makes you like really feel and appreciate Bale's Batman, and then the strength of the Batman mythos is all of the great like villains, all the rogues gallery.
Right.
So so every sequel, obviously, you have just great villains. Even in this one, as Sean just said, Raza is a great villain. Liam Neeson was just phenomenal. Like every line.
Horrible parent, but great villain.
Yeah, I mean, they made 3 of those movies.
Yeah,
I gotta know between y'all 3, was there any ever like? And I haven't done any research on this specifically. Was there any ever effort for the third Batman to try to bring Ra's al Ghul back, stick him in the Lazarus pit? Was that ever discussed? Does anybody know?
He comes back in the form of a hallucination.
Yeah.
Right.
But
that's,
I wish they would have done that.
Well,
yeah,
no one
ever
story.
because that's what I was asking. Like, right? There was never any talks like maybe we're gonna bring him back. Like, I guess it was.
I think Nolan was just. I think he was just too grounded in reality to try to implement something like a spiritual Lazarus pit or whatever. So But yeah, so
they brought Talia in it, and I wish they would have. That would have been a great reveal.
Yeah, dude.
Because the Talia thing was kind of almost obvious a little bit.
Yeah,
but like if they would have also added like Roz to the third movie, that would have been epic. For the
that's
finale.
what I'm saying. I felt the same way. I was a little disappointed that he didn't actually come back. I was like, dude, he's got to. The pit, even if he was burned beyond recognition from the end of this film or something, they could have brought, whatever, man, whatever.
Well, speaking of burning, they burnt down Wayne Manor.
Gone.
Alfred, he helps Bruce get out from underneath that bloody log and ushers him to the elevator. They get down into the cave as you see like fire just like billowing.
Yeah,
up
it's
above
fucking
them.
sad. When I watched it this time, it was just fucking sad because it's like Alfred, like that's like what his whole life was, right?
Yeah.
Like,
but he reiterates that same theme again at the bottom. Bruce is like he's feeling defeated. It's like I wanted to save Gotham and I failed, and Alfred's like,
why do we force? So that we can learn to pick ourselves up.
Trying to cry in front of my brother who was also watching, and we're just
crying, man. So.
And there was a couple times too where Bruce says, "You haven't given up on me yet."
Yes,
never.
Mm-hmm.
I love that line.
Yeah. At that point in time,
that's probably one of my favorite. Sorry.
No, you're right. That's an exceptional line, and I'll interrupt you to say that if Gibbs was here, he would say, "I won't bury you."
I won't bury you, Mr. Wayne.
I won't bury you.
But so let's get to the finish of this, man, because downtown is fucking. The Narrows are in a blaze. They've already set off the toxin, or they're setting off the toxin.
Yes.
Certain people have masks. I believe Gordon has a mask.
He has inoculation.
Yeah,
that's right. And so did Rachel.
Rachel wakes up and she gets there. She gives the inoculation to Gordon, from their mutual friend or whatever. She, the little kid is back. Joffrey
comes back. Yeah, he's there.
And he goes up to this corrupt cop. He's like, "I can't find my mom." And that cop just like grabs him by the face and pushes him away. And then Rachel's like, "What the hell are you doing?" And he just like points at her.
Yep.
Like mind your business, bitch.
Yep.
Yeah,
And,
which is so cool because
You're not
Raza
my
al Ghul
wife.
gets out of the truck right behind him after that.
Yep.
And that's when they set off.
And the word is panic.
Yeah, and
Panic
so
and-
Raza al Ghul's the one he's got a mask, and his
Yeah.
like boys
his
have a
thugs
mask.
do,
Yeah,
because they know what's going on clearly, right? And so they basically set off the toxin in the Narrows with a plan to load the big microwave onto the monorail and drive
'Cause they're
it
gonna go
straight
into Wayne
into the
Manor,
center
right?
of Gotham,
That's right.
which is Wayne Manor,
or not
which is
Wayne
where
Manor, Wayne Enterprises.
It's
right?
Wayne Tower.
Wayne Towers, where the water
Yeah.
source is underneath, and
So
that's
vaporize
where they're
everything.
headed.
And
And this,
underneath is like the main hub. So once it gets
Yeah.
there, it spreads to all the other pipelines.
right. And this scene goes on for a while. We're going to skip over a little bit, but there's a battle that basically happens downtown in the Narrows between Batman. Rachel Dawes is there, who's inoculated, obviously, from the previous encounter, and also Commissioner Gordon, who's inoculated. Batman tosses Commissioner Gordon the keys to the Batmobile and tells him, "Listen," tasks him with a very important job. He's supposed to destroy the supports for the train so that it can't reach
Correct.
the center of Gotham City, aka Wayne Towers, right? And Batman saves, and this is really important. He saves Rachel from some of the murderers and killers from Arkham Asylum. They're wearing the jumpsuits.
Mm-hmm.
He beats them up, saves them, and he goes to find Ra's al Ghul. But before he goes, Rachel's like, "Who even are you?" Right?
And I talked about it before. Like this might be my favorite line of the whole movie, and it's because of Katie Holmes' reaction. Like, she says, you could die. At least tell me your name. And he turns back to her and he's like,
It's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me.
Bruce?
So and
Chills,
so
man.
So in that
100%.
moment, like he completely renews her faith in him,
Right.
and
Only
dude,
to
it's
change
so
into fucking
great.
Maggie Gyllenhaal hours later.
That's pre-melted face.
Yeah.
Like
Thanks,
Chud.
thanks,
Damn
Tom.
it.
Thanks, Tom Cruise.
Idiot.
Thanks,
idiot,
Scientology.
Idiot,
Damn it,
idiot.
man! I was gonna convert too. I was so close.
You think that when The Dark Knight came out and was just this massive success, she was like, "Hey, Tom, look, it made another $100 million. I could have been in that. Thanks."
Yeah, I know. He's like, Tom, look over there, and he's like, "What's that?" And then she's like, finally.
But-
Sorry, man. Let's
but-
get
but
down
yeah,
to this. Let's get down to the final fucking confrontation.
Yeah. So he jumps off the building from talking with Rachel. He glides and you see like the people's point of view. Everybody's got the fear toxin now, so they're seeing like this like demon flying over them.
The fucking demon.
And then,
It's also awesome.
Yeah, and then like it cuts over to Ra's al Ghul and a couple of his guys, and Bruce, or Batman now, he glides over and like perches right there.
Oh, dude,
and,
yeah.
And he's like, you took my advice about theatricality a bit literal.
Really does. And then
uh,
there's another funny moment right after that, because he was just like, "I'm getting on this train and I'm going to go basically blow up Gotham." And Batman's like, "Yo, do you think I beat up two of your thugs?" Because he has two ninjas. He was like,
very well.
yeah. And he
Yeah, and
puts
there's like 20.
two more down, and the camera cuts back to Batman's face, and he's like,
Yeah.
like, so Ra's al Ghul gives him two more to fight because he wouldn't keep his mouth shut.
Yeah.
To me, that part makes me laugh
That's
every
funny.
time.
And, so like, there's another great fight scene. Like,
Yeah.
It's just close up on the action, and he sees
Yeah.
he sees the train going over. He knows that Roz is on there with the microwave emitter. So he just barely is able to grab that grappling gun, shoots the bottom of the train. And I always thought it was hilarious that somebody's
me
attached to him. So like it pulls him up, and another dude just like sails off into this.
He's like flipping in the air.
He's probably fine.
And-
He's dead.
He didn't die.
And this is
at all.
so. This is one shot where he's hanging from the bottom of the train. That the same stunt guy, Buster Reeves, he is
Hell yeah.
doing that, but they also have some digital some digital.
Dude, shout out
Batman.
Buster Reeves, man.
Buster Reeves, dude.
God damn.
Yeah.
The true.
But,
True star, yeah. He's underneath the train, basically trying to get up to Raza al Ghul, who is on his way. Meanwhile, Commissioner Gordon is zooming through the streets in the Batmobile because evidently he can drive stick, and so he's trying to get to the area. He's got GPS on.
Dude,
the Batmobile, and he's like going through back alleys trying to figure out exactly where to be to set up. So it's sort of a race against time, right? Batman's trying to defeat Ra's al Ghul, who's on the train. He eventually makes it up to him. Meanwhile, down below, Commissioner Gordon is trying to destroy like the tracks basically in front of Wayne Tower. Either way, even if Batman fails, Commissioner Gordon is sort of like the fail safe, right? And so Batman finally does arrive on the train, and they have the final battle between
and it's great
mentor
too.
and teacher.
Like even his entrance into the train, like he crashes through the window,
right?
And again, like he jumps and like perches, like crouches down, and Roz almost has this like this Apollo Creed look, you know,
when he gets back, when Rocky gets back up,
yeah,
like,
he's
like
kind of like,
what?
Oh, Jesus, and he goes,
yeah,
and Roz like, you will never learn. And then,
dude,
and then Batman also has this like great look on his face too, like I'm tired of this shit.
Amelia, don't you have anything new? How about this?
Roz does like kind of, he gets the better of Bruce. He's got him on his back, and he's like, you know, don't be afraid. Again, the whole theme of this movie is fear. He's like, don't be afraid. You're just a normal man in a cape. That's why you couldn't fight injustice. That's why you can't stop this train. And Batman's like, who said anything about stopping it? And
at that moment,
it dawns on
Gordon.
him. Well, he looks up and he sees that Batman is like stuck part of that blade into the control panel. So there is no stopping this train.
Yeah, he didn't stop it because Ra's al Ghul doesn't understand the plan. And at that moment, that's when Commissioner Gordon blows up the track supports and the train collapses. So the train is doomed. And you know,
and Batman, like he gets the upper hand. Then he's got Ra's on his back, and he flips the script on him. And he's like, you never learn to mind your surroundings.
Yeah, dude, that's fucking good ass line, and then boom.
And Ra's is like, you finally learn to do what's necessary, like to kill me. And he's like,
I won't kill you, but I don't have to see you.
I don't have to say, that's also a badass line.
He blows the back of the train off, and
it glides out.
Yeah, dude.
Glides out, and then fucking train crashes.
You saw this in theaters, right, Sean? Were there people cheering in the theater like there were mine? People were shouting the whole freaking time.
Oh yeah,
which is rare. Like it does happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody's had that experience.
The last time I had that happen, I had it happen. Me and Shadwick went to go see Infinity Wars. At the end of that, the crowd was like, oh, "Holy shit!" And then me and Shadwick, I think we've seen Deadpool 2 and 3 in theaters, and everybody was like, it's fun seeing it with a crowd like that where everybody's cheering and going wild like opening night, you know, like it's all the hardcores, man. So Bruce, now we got to put a bow on it, right? Leaf, walk us through the ending here, put a bow on everything.
So Ra's al Ghul, the train crashes with Ra's al Ghul inside. Batman flies away. He doesn't save his old mentor and friend. He explodes. The microwave fires off. The whole train blows up. He's dead, even though he could be resurrected with the Lazarus pit. We'll do that another time. So Ra's al Ghul is dead, defeated.
He's
Gotham
dead
is Gotham is saved. Lucius Fox was tasked with manufacturing a lot of the antidote, which we have to assume was administered to the rest of the citizens of Gotham. Batman, for probably the only movie in the series, is the hero. Even the newspapers report it. Like, I think that's really important to note. A lot of the time, he ends up being the scapegoat or the villain in a lot of the other movies.
Which is weird that media and comic books would villainize people. It's weird, right?
Why would they do that for views?
It's not like relevant to today.
No,
that doesn't make any sense. Why would they do that for views?
Weird.
But
I still want a Tesla.
Bruce regains control of Wayne Enterprises from the old CEO, William, whatever his name was. William Earl, and through all different sort of nefarious financial back dealing. So Bruce Wayne maintains control.
But
yeah,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So he maintains control of Wayne Enterprises, the sole entrepreneur, basically, and he reappoints Lucius Fox as the CEO. Like his boy gets in control, basically, of the financial corporation, so that Batman can continue doing his nefarious activities in the evening.
We didn't mention earlier that Earl had fired Lucius because
We didn't.
Because he was when they found
he's flying too close to the sun.
Yeah, when Earl found out that that microwave emitter had been stolen, he goes to Lucius to try to get like all the files and backup data and everything. So he can basically wash the system of them ever having it. And, as he's asking, Lucius like, what, did you lose one? And that's when Earl's like, I'm merging your department with archives and I'm firing you.
Yep.
Didn't you get the memo?
Yeah,
exactly.
And then
summer home.
Yeah, so
and Lucius repeats the same line to him.
Yeah, that's
at
awesome.
the end of the movie
when he becomes CEO.
Yeah, Earl's like, didn't I fire you? And he goes, you did. I got a new job. Yours.
Didn't you get the memo?
So Bruce Wayne's financial endeavors are secure now under Lucius Fox. Relationship-wise, he's picking up Bruce. It cuts to Bruce picking up and along with Alfred, the pieces of what's left of Wayne Manor after being burned down. Rachel shows up. She knows he's Batman. It's all out in the open, and they share a loving embrace and kiss. But she understands the truth, man. Unlike Mary Jane and some of those other idiots who had to be told, she's like, I can't be with you, and because you're Batman. And it's like, yes. That's
she
correct.
Gets it. Yep.
Well,
she completely understands it. Shout out Rachel.
Well, she says out loud the coolest part about Batman that his real personality is Batman. The mask is Bruce Wayne.
Right.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah, I like that.
Which is true. It's just sick. That's a sick burn.
Dude, this is a good segue, right? So, guys, we're gonna as we wind this down. Favorite line from this movie? Usually we do like shit we quote. There's really nothing that we quote from this movie, I don't think, just because it's just a good fucking movie. I'll start.
You will never learn.
Yeah, I'll start, and my favorite one is...
Why do we force? So that we can learn to pick ourselves up.
I know that it's like throughout this entire fucking movie, but that line, even in the very beginning, is like, when his dad says it to him, and then it's like it continues throughout the movie, just a callback. Fucking love that. So, Leaf, if you had to pick one.
Man, there's so many good lines. I'm probably gonna go with I'm gonna go outside the box, man, a little bit, and give the shout out to Rachel's line.
It's not who you are underneath. It's what you do that defines you.
Yeah.
That's my favorite line from the film because that is 100% true. It's not about everything we say that we do in life. It's not about like what we hope to be true. It's the things that we do that define us. That line still sticks with me. Shout out Rachel for doing
that was a great one.
And Katie Holmes for that one. Acted so well.
Sean,
so
you had one?
Well, I'm just going to back up, Leaf. Your favorite is Katie Holmes saying that.
Yes.
My favorite is Batman saying it back to her.
It's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me.
Bruce?
And her realizing it. Yeah.
Nice.
Because it just, like I said,
it brings it full circle,
Dude,
right?
It brings it full circle, and it, like I said, it just like reinstates her faith in him.
Yes.
Cool. Sean, bring us home, man. Your favorite, if you had to pick one line out of this movie.
I like the Alfred Bruce back and forth after he saves him, where he's like,
"You still haven't given up on me."
Never.
And I think that like it's an emotional scene, and it hits home with I think most guys can relate to that with their
dude,
dads
yes.
or somebody that's their parental figure. That's a big line because
Yeah.
he felt like a failure, and Alfred's telling him
like,
that
he's not.
He's not giving up on him.
That ripped my
That's
heart out of my
awesome.
chest. A lot of
Same
people's
here.
lives would be different if they had heard something like that.
Yeah,
Dude, 100%, man.
Earlier in their lives.
The runner-up for me is going to be pretty much anything else that Raza Ghul says. I love his delivery of everything,
dude. Yeah,
but the part where he's talking about his wife and how she was taken from him, and he says something about we'll cut it in, but like it's something about you get to the point to where you almost wish that the person that you lost never existed, so you wouldn't have to deal with the pain of losing them.
Yeah, 100%.
That's a great line too.
God, so many good moments.
Guys, we went, I don't know, fucking an
7
hour
hours.
and 30 minutes too long. So hopefully we'll see what makes this on the cutting room floor. But thanks for sticking with us through this long megasode. Such a great movie. This is Batman Begins. So guys, make sure you go out and watch this. I'm not even sure what it's streaming on right now. I think we all have it purchased, so we didn't even have to look. So
it's always on Max. It's a Warner Brothers.
Yeah,
so go check it out on Max, man. And so again, like, subscribe, and thanks again for sticking with us. And with that, we'll take it over to our Norm Macdonald clip of the week.
Israeli security forces have rounded up over 150 suspects in last week's suicide bombings. Suspects in a suicide bombings. Now, well, here's a hint. Look for the dead guys, and
She said,